Well, I say every day it's a getting closer to taking a bath with my fucking toaster.
We're not qualified.
Explorers in the further regions of experience.
Did you not listen?
Then the hell with you.
Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the 102nd episode of Screaming Into the Void. We talk about whatever the hell we feel like. My name is Samuel the Infamous, and as you can see, I'm up here all by my onesie so far today. As it turns out, holiday weekend, a lot of people are away. We may have some people jump in at some point, but otherwise, the show must go on, right? So here we are. First and foremost, I would like to bring up something that was just brought to my attention here very, very recently, like in the last 15 minutes. So, as some of you probably know already, are a number of the people that we stream with and do stuff with are located in Texas, in various parts of Texas. Well, as it turns out, that hurricane they said wasn't going to hit Texas is. So, if you know anybody out there, or just generally want to send good wishes and whatnot their way, keep your fingers crossed for our friends in Texas. It's supposed to get I think the main part of the storm is supposed to make landfall on Monday, but yeah, they're scrambling right now because they weren't actually expecting this thing to pick up steam again. So yeah, just be aware of that. Keep your fingers crossed. Pray if that's what you do. That sort of thing. And if you're in Texas, get some shit together, hunker down, make whatever preparations you need, and be safe, if you would, please. We don't need to be losing anybody to disasters. So that said, welcome to the show, everybody. Hopefully this goes off without a hitch. Hopefully we don't have too many technical issues because, like I said, it is just me up here. So if something happens, I might have to take a couple of minutes and reset and all that. But hopefully going forward, we'll be okay. I do have a few things to cover today as well. Some stuff to go over, things that happened. A couple of videos here and there. Hopefully they'll play. Some stuff that's just kind of neat. There was a meteor, or what they think was a meteor anyway, over Istanbul here a little bit ago. That got some footage of that. It's kind of spectacular, actually. Some stuff about the the people running for office here in the States, that kind of thing. But one of the first things that I ran across this last night. Apparently, this was just a little bit before that. This would have been on the 25th of June. This article was published, but this is the first time that I'm seeing anything about this, which just goes to show that I wasn't paying attention. It happens sometimes. I don't keep my finger on the pulse of everything that goes on in the U.S. and the world, because frankly, that gets exhausting. And I do have other things going on in life, like, family and work, and, the need to eat and sleep. Otherwise, I'd be keeping an eye on this constantly for everybody. But before we get too further into that, I will say hello to who we have in the chat at the moment. We got Lawrence Knight saying first. Lawrence Knight is in Texas, by the way, and he was the one to let me know about the incoming hurricane. So fingers crossed for Lawrence Knight. Hope everything goes well and nobody gets hurt, and damages are minimal. I know hurricanes can be unpredictable, and they can cause a lot of damage, especially along the coastal areas where it's lower down in elevation, closer to sea level. There tends to be a lot of flooding and some other stuff, and so yeah, just to Lawrence and all our pals in Texas, just be safe. You know, I just actually talked to Lawrence here just a little bit ago. He's okay, but he's making preparations just in case. We have the Clue channel with us. So yeah, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. Jacob Gallo is third. Hello there. Plus isn't moving to Wyoming. Yeah. I should probably warn you though that our current governor is a bit of a bitch, but otherwise, yeah, Wyoming's not a bad place to be. We're plus no hurricanes, right? No, we've just got blizzards and tornadoes and wildfires and earthquakes on occasion. Very, very rarely, but it does happen. Landslides, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, and we're not immune to the liberal cancer that's spreading throughout the red states either. Jackson Hole and Laramie in particular. You guys might remember Laramie from a little incident that happened about 25 years ago involving a young man named Matthew Shepard, who was essentially crucified to a fence and left to die. And they made a big deal about it. It was because he was gay. And, it's because Wyomingites are, all homophobic and, oh my God, we're just horrible fucking people here. And the truth of the matter is that the kid was a drug dealer, and he ripped off a couple of other drug dealers who were psychopaths, and which of course didn't help matters. And then they did what they did to him, which he didn't deserve. Nobody deserves that shit. It was fucked up. He should not have died that way. Um, you know, uh, but let's not pretend he was some kind of fucking gay saint, because he wasn't. So, yeah, Texas kills hurricanes. From what I understand, this one's pretty big. Parts of it's supposed to reach Dallas, which is pretty far inland. So I don't know. Uh, so pretty good. Yeah, Beak, good to see you. There's a book called The Book of Matt, which tells the truth about that. Yeah, I didn't read that book. Wyoming's not that big, and while we don't all know each other, I was living in Laramie for a time. I do know people who knew him. And so yeah, I never met the man myself. I think he was a couple years younger than me. So yeah, it is what it is. But he was, by the time I moved to Laramie, it was already well done and over with. But I was in a different part of Wyoming when all that went down. But again, I know people who know people. Um, yeah, those of us who were, more entrenched in certain illicit activities at the time, no longer. Anybody out there in law enforcement is listening. I haven't been involved in any of that shit in many, many years. You hear shit that doesn't make the news because it doesn't make for a pretty narrative. So and all that. But yeah, cool. We got bison. Yep. Do not pet the fluffy cows. Just don't do it. It's not a good idea. No. Yeah, the Laramie Project is an entirely fictionalized account that attempts to make a saint out of Matthew Shepard. And far be it from me to speak ill of the dead. I tell a lie. I speak ill of the dead all the time. But he wasn't a saint. He was pretty fucking far from it. His being gay had nothing to do with his brutal death, aside from the fact that it probably was more brutal because of certain, like I said, salacious offers he made to the two other dealers that he had already ripped off. And I don't know, like I wasn't there, right? I don't know that it was if he was joking or if he was just being snarky or whatever, or if he was being serious. But either way, I'm sure that compounded the fury with which they dispatched him, and it just, I don't know. That whole situation is super fucked up. There are no heroes in it. Everybody involved was a giant piece of shit. But nobody, like I said, nobody deserves to die that way. It was a super fucked up way to go. So, yep, Beacon absolutely was. Absolutely was. Yep. And that was one of those things because they didn't preaching to all the yokels that killing the gay people is wrong. That's true. She didn't just do that, and they didn't just do that though. They came and they told us all to our faces that we all hate gay people because that happened to him. Right. Most Wyomingites had never heard of this kid before it happened. Right. Same as everybody else. You know, people up in fucking Cody had no idea who this kid was until it made the news. Right. People outside of Wyoming had no idea who it was until the Laramie Project happened because it didn't make national news when it did happen. Because nothing out here ever does. So it wasn't until some activists got a hold of his story and twisted it into a tool for their purposes that it became a thing. And then there was some ugly shit that happened after that. Like there was I forget what they called themselves, but there was a Baptist group out of Nebraska or South Dakota. I keep wanting to say Westside Baptist, but that's not true. That's actually a specific church I'm thinking of, the church building I'm thinking of. Westboro, that's it, Westboro, the Westboro Baptist Church. And they made a habit when they were still a thing of going around to, the funerals of gay people or of, whoever they just decided was not, pure enough. And protesting their fucking funerals in front of their families and shit, and just generally being dicks about the whole thing, saying like, "Oh, he was gay, so he's gonna burn in hell." He's sucking Satan's dick in hell, kind of shit. Which is like, you don't do that. You don't go to people's funerals. I don't care what kind of person that was. Their families don't deserve to see that shit, right? So yeah, it was. Yeah. Clue, you got it. Westboro. Yeah, they have, from what I understand, they have since disbanded. There's only a handful of them left because they were kind of shitheads to everybody, you know. So yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, there are no winners. There are no heroes in that story, and it's an old story. You can look most of this stuff up. Hey, Caucasian Sasquatch, good to see you, buddy.
What up, bud? How's my sounding?
It's a little hot.
Okay.
So
how about now?
Just talking about how much. Yes, now it's quite a bit better. Yeah. So,
nothing.
Have you?
My internet went out. We got storms over here. I just got my internet back a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Oh no worries. I was just talking to Larry just a little bit ago. Apparently, that hurricane they said wasn't going to hit Texas is going to hit Texas. So
that's Texas. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
Honestly, once you get past landfall, which I mean, Texas is a little bit different. First of all, they don't have things like, I don't know, topography. If you get a half inch of rain and it covers the ground in a half inch of water, it just flooded half inch of Texas. Texas is flat.
Yeah, a good portion of it is, yeah. That's a lot of flat land too. I mean, Texas is huge, but I was curious, in your wanderings on the internets and searching up obscurities and that sort of thing, how much you knew about the whole Matthew Shepard case?
Matthew Shepard. Off the top of my head, I don't recognize the name. Which one is this?
He was the gay kid outside of Laramie who was crucified to the fence about 25 years ago.
Jesus. I guess nothing. I mean, unless it was associated with a specific serial killer or some specific mystery beyond who killed the kid. I look for really weird stuff.
Enough. Well, they know exactly who killed him there. Yeah. I don't remember their names off the top of the head, but the two men who killed him are in prison because of the spectacular brutality of it. crime.
They should
But
be in prison.
yeah, no, this was the Laramie Project was a thing that came out. Yeah, the Laramie Project was a thing that came out that kind of tried to paint him as a saint, which he wasn't. And then they made him kind of the poster child for the next few years of the whole LGBT, we're all oppressed and you're all trying to kill us all kind of shit, specifically targeted at Wyomingites, but in general, everybody else. And yeah, it was some fucked up stuff. But yeah, he was not a good dude. He was a drug dealer, and he ripped off a couple of drug dealers who were worse people than even he was. And then he pissed them off after he ripped them off, and they brutally murdered him. They didn't even actually finish killing him. They just left him out there to die of exposure.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, it was a bad way to go. So, hey, Bernie, good to see you.
Gods hate figs. Weird. Pretty sure figs. There was. I get the joke. I'm continuing the joke, brother. I was going to say no. God loves figs. You see, figs were the very first thing that humans actually planted in new places. And it wasn't done through seed or anything like that. They just broke off a piece and took it with them. Later, it became carrying a little plant with them. The first house plants were figs.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just definitely not a bad idea. It's like you can live on them. It's a good idea to be able, and they grow pretty well.
Almost anywhere. Did I ever tell you about the special fig I got?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. So this is a really weird thing to have happen, but things like this, I suppose, do happen. About 20 some odd years ago, there was some kind of rambunctiousness that took place in some part of China or a China adjacent location. A group of refugees left that place, and they took the family was responsible for managing one of the CCP's arboreums or something like that. I don't know what you call it. It's like a big garden
arboretum
museum. Arboretum, that's it.
Yeah.
And they brought with them some absurd number of species of figs and different types of ornamentals and stuff in hopes of using these to make more of these to procreate these to create new lines in America that they could use for their seed network. Basically, they were bringing new species that the West had never heard of. Knew nothing about this at the time. I ran across a group of people who couldn't speak English who had a flat tire. And I helped them change. My mom asked me to help them change the tire, and they couldn't understand a word anyone there said. They were all speaking. I thought Vietnamese. Now I know it was Cantonese, right? And after I changed the tire, put the tire back where, the spare tire back underneath so they could carry it to where they needed to go and whatnot. The old lady in the group comes over and gives me a cup with a little twig sticking out of it that had one leaf on it, a little fig tree. And she said one English word that I understood: special. And for years, we tried to grow that fig tree like you would a brown turkey fig or a coastal fig or any number of other figs. That thing might as well have had training wheels on it. It moved around the yard so much. Couple of years here, couple of years there, couple of years there. I took the leaf to the county extension agent, and they couldn't figure out what it was. And after about a year and a half, somebody got back to me. Turns out it had recently been identified as something called a celestial fig, which was brought by a particular family out of China. And after that, I was able to look and see what it needed, and I made that situation, and this thing has taken over part of my pop shed. Like, it's reaching around into it and stuff, right? But here's the thing. All figs in America, almost all of them, are brown turkey figs, or there's a couple of bronze figs and a couple of, but they're all derived from turkey figs, right? This is derived from an entirely different line of figs and has a totally different flavor profile. These things taste like a hint of gardenia and honey. They are amazing. Unbelievably tasty. They're so tasty that I have yet to manage to get any jam or anything made from them, because anyone who comes to pick them ends up eating them just as figs because they're so tasty.
Huh. I wonder if that's if that in particular is why they're called celestial figs, or if it had something more to do with
The story that I got
being
was that
bred
it's
maybe for the
because
emperor.
they were bred for the royal family, the imperial family, and they were specifically given by a specific fig breeder some number of hundreds of years ago to the family, and then all the rest of them were burned so that they would have the patent after a fashion. And these folks smuggled it out of China apparently, and I got a hold of a really early one.
Yeah, they stole them. They straight up stole them.
They smuggled them out. They stole them. I have no doubt about that, dude. I'm telling you, I didn't want to change that tire because all them people look shady.
Yeah, for those of y'all who are wondering, even before the CCP, if you took anything that belonged to the imperial family in China without their express permission, it was a death sentence. It could have been picking up a fucking pine cone off of their lawn. They'll still kill you for it.
No, you're literally correct on that very statement that you just made. There was a case in the late 70s of he claimed to be a journalist, but he was also a student on sabbatical doing research for the speciation of the pine lineage. And he was doing this research in China, and in the process he took a bunch of samples, which, as you would doing science and whatnot, right? And when he was coming out of China, they pretty much just jacked him up, charged him with treason for attempting to smuggle. The concept behind it is that these are Chinese national treasures because they are the genetic diversity of China. So taking unique specimens of trees or samples of seeds and stuff could be seen as stealing I can't remember what they call it in technology. State information, but that's not quite right.
Yeah, I'm sure it's classified as something similar though. And
Yeah,
that's like even before the CCP took over and everything, it was still, like it wasn't so much considered like, taking the there wasn't a scientific term for it so much as there was like, this belongs to the royal family. The royal family are essentially divine. By doing this, you have spit in the face of heaven, and so now you have to die.
pretty much. I don't remember there being a resolution on the dude that was collecting the seeds, but I don't remember ever hearing another thing about him, which doesn't bode well, frankly.
He probably got disappeared.
Well, yeah, that happens in China, especially to dissidents and
It does.
treasons.
When I was a little boy, I was in Cub Scouts, Webelos, that sort of thing, and my leader was this woman. So my troop was all run through the church that I went to, which was the Mormon church at the time. And as you know, Mormons do missions all throughout the world, and you don't just like, you can do them when you reach adulthood, I guess. Like 18 to 20 for men and 19 to 21 for women. I think they might have changed those in the last few years, but that's what it was when I was a kid. And you go out and you do a mission for 2 years in some whatever place they sent you to. And China was one of those places where they didn't really send these young missionaries, these young inexperienced people to, because you would never see them again. And so my scout leader was this woman who decided later in life, because you can choose to go and serve more missions later on, that she wanted to go serve a mission in China. We didn't hear from her for like 8 years. Was pretty sure that the CCP had caught up to her. Eventually she did show back up, but yeah, the whole time that they were there, they have to any religious teachings of any kind that are not in supplication to the party, to the CCP, to the state, have to be stamped out. It's one of the edicts of communism. It's how that works. And so they would, if they found you talking about any god other than the CCP, they would make you go away. They would not make a big spectacle of it. They would just take you in a small room somewhere that nobody knew where it was, and put two in the back of your head and dispose of your body quietly. You just disappear. No one would ever hear from you again, kind of shit. Well, as it turns out, she was quite the sneaky lady, because she did actually make it back stateside about 5 years later. We just, she'd moved somewhere else. We hadn't heard from her, so we didn't know. We're sitting there for like 3 years worrying that the CCP fucking got her. And it is what it is. But yeah, that's it's interesting how a country that was so I don't know if religious is the right word, but there was almost that kind of reverence. Like the old Chinese religions had their own gods. They had their own, whatever. And the imperial family were said to be as divine representatives or appointees, or even incarnations of the gods or whatever. And so there was a very strong element of faith and worship in China. And then the CCP came along, and it took that and it focused it on the state itself to the exclusion of all other things. I encourage you guys out there to look up Falun Gong and what happened to them. It was a sect that sprung up and was essentially wiped off the face of the earth. It was pretty horrific. Yeah. So, but yeah, it is what it is. So if you're religious, if you have some kind of I guess calling or direct to
The term mission
go out
work.
and spread the word wherever you go, whatever, be aware of where you are, what the laws are, what can happen to you at all times, no matter where in the world you are, because you never know.
Yeah,
not
no,
everywhere has the same kind of
serious.
freedoms that we have.
Well, though, something you need to keep in mind is, just like you said, they need to stamp out all religion. That's not entirely true.
Mhm.
You said it well. All religion except the state. And so
Yeah.
if there is any competition, this is the only way communist succeeds on any level, and it is only a perspective thing. There's no true success, is if there is no competing information. Truth cannot exist under communism, because communism insists on writing the truth itself. Propaganda.
Yeah.
So you can't speak religion, because what you're saying might be true, and if it can't be either used by. Do you remember the what was the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the 50-year plan, the 100-year plan? Right? Remember that whole shebang? All right.
Yeah.
Part of this, there was a philosophy amongst the Chinese communists, as I understand it, and keep in mind that I read a bad translation of this, so it was really hard to understand, and I'm not sure I actually grasped it, but the implications were the people in the party who called themselves scientists were agronomists. They were the educated elite of the farmers, right? And they had decided that planting all of the same crop would strengthen the group, because all of them are together like communism. So when you plant wheat, you want to plant nothing but a specific type of wheat. When you plant oats, you only plant that type of oats. And they work together to improve the soil and to make a better place for that type of wheat to grow. And so year after year, you'll get better and better crops. But we all know that is not true. That if you do that, you will create a desert. And if you don't believe me, go check out Central Georgia. there's a desert there, and it's not because it don't rain. It's because homie planted the same crop for 25 years straight, and even with kudzu crawling all over the ground over there, it still hasn't regenerated enough nutrients in the area for things to grow. Like, all the trees are this tall. It's wild place.
Well, that is something that so agriculturally speaking, this has been known for thousands of years the world over. It always kills me when somebody comes along and thinks, well, I can do it better than everybody else has. There's a reason that you have multiple fields and that you let the ones in the off season lie fallow while you plant in the other ones, and then you swap them the next year. It's so that doesn't happen. And they've known that for thousands of years, because it wouldn't be the first time somebody has fucking turned a place into a desert because they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, there's a couple of notable places in the old world you might recognize as a desert. At this point, they do have arid conditions, but that was not always the case, and it was a desert before that was the case. Like, they got all the juicy they could get out of it, then moved out.
I think wasteland is probably a better term than desert, because a desert is typically defined by the amount of precipitation it receives. But hey, Shadow.
I'm sorry I'm late. I was doing some nepotism.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, but like technically where I live is high desert because of the amount of precipitation that we receive. But we do actually have like it's not sandy, you know, it's windswept, but it's not sandy desert or anything, you know.
No, is it like I don't remember the name of it, but like in Peru?
Like in northern Russia.
Gentlemen, happiest of 4th of July weekend to you all. Hope everyone was safe and had a good time.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to the show.
What's good with you? Yo, it's a shame. It's a shame the time didn't work out, because I wanted to actually hop in on that conversation you had about the pills, because I had the same exact thing on my channel, and I wasn't able. I was like, because I had to stream, but I definitely would have wanted.
Let me tell you how Sasquatch's luck runs, man. So, I interview individual channels with no respect to genre, type, political affiliation, nothing. I don't care if you believe you're a werewolf and you're going to eat children tonight. If you have a channel and you've uploaded videos, I'm willing to show you. I interviewed a goblin once. Anyway, I was talking to a guy about coming on, next Thursday, the next date I have open for a Sasquatch Shields, and he's like, okay, yeah, no, we'll definitely do that. I talked to Barney about you. He says you're a cool dude. I'll come work with you. I was like, great. I was like, but by the way, I have a show I'm doing tonight called Red Pill, Blue Pill, White Pill, whatever it was. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll be there. I'll be a little drunk, but I'll be there. And I was like, 4th of July, that's fine, whatever. He comes in. Turns out his entire channel, his name is Juicy J. He's J Really, I think RILLY. His entire channel is based around red pill, blue pill philosophies, what they mean, how to apply them, like not theory, but applied, right? So apparently I had no idea what the damn shit meant. I had no clue. Because when I got in there and was like, all right, well, this is kind of what I think about it. He's like, no, man, listen. And he explained it from the beginning, and then somebody else joined and he explained it again. Then someone else joined. Yeah, Jay Rillo.
Repetition is the key to success.
Jay Rillo?
Jay Rillo, yeah.
Not the fucking the best traveling YouTuber dude. Come on.
I don't know. As far as I know, he's some Puerto Rican guy who does.
Okay, my bad. It was somebody else then. I thought it was somebody else. Honestly, if you had Jay Rillo on your fucking stream, man, oh Shevitz, get ready for that whole thing to go all the way left.
Fuck them. Let them try. Good luck. I'm so black-pilled that it's difficult to. I'm assuming y'all are going to do the worst possible thing. So when you don't, I count it as a blessing.
There you go. Yes, sir. You said, no, that's Jay Rillo. I'm going to say, I didn't know who Jay Rillo was. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
I do like to bring up some of the worst possible shit. Saw this thing. I was on my my buddy Adam, the Renaissance Nerds channel on Monday, and he brought up something that typically is more of a topic for this show.
Mm-hmm.
It involved an AI kind of intrusive augmented reality thing where if you say murder somebody, then you go get plugged in and you do a 70-year prison sentence in about 2 days in your mind.
Yeah, the chamber. That's a good one.
I am both horrified and excited for this technology, actually.
I'm fucking
Wait a minute,
not. I'm there's all kinds of shit wrong with that.
So let me make sure I got this right.
Absolutely. But
If you
counterpoint,
commit-
imagine being able to just, like, for 30 minutes out of your day, sit down and play an MMORPG for as long as you fucking want.
But I'm like, it says, wait a minute. So the whole premise of this, I'm assuming there was something he brought up. I don't know if this was a show or whatever, right? So the whole premise of this is, you commit a crime, and the punishment thereof is you being locked into a machine in virtual reality, and you serve an accelerated sentence that equals out to what you would have served in real time.
Correct.
I mean,
So there are a number of issues with this. One of which was brought up to me by somebody who was in chat that day that I hadn't even considered. Is that so? You go in, you do something horrendous, like you rob a bank and kill 3 guards, and their families, are very upset with you, as they should be. So they plug you into this thing, right? And you go and you do your time, but in your head, and it's the whole accelerated sentence thing, like you're talking about. And then 2 days later, you're out, and yeah, you've been punished. You experienced all these things. It may just be in your mind. It's very matrixy. But you've essentially been punished. The problem is it's still only been 2 days for the fucking families of the victims. Right? Where's the justice in that?
Well, also assuming that they're going to use, and maybe they aren't, but assuming they're going to use the way the American prison system works, unless they're like sticking you in solitary confinement in your mind, which would probably violate our 8th Amendment, they're just going to give you a prison experience, which for most of these motherfuckers is free food, free drinks, and all the gay sex you do and don't want. So basically, you're
actually,
just
the
giving
gay
him...
sex. The whole gay sex thing, like that got brought up. It's like, if you spend like 2 days getting fucking violated by bigger dudes, like, yeah, I could see where that would be effective. But also,
But if you program
it violates
problem
the
is
8th Amendment too. Hold up.
Yeah, sorry.
The thing is that Devil brought up a point, is that they're not going to do that. The liberals will sanitize your experience. So it'll essentially be a fucking vacation.
More of a vacation than it already is for the criminals. So
There's-
basically, you're just
Right.
giving them decades more life, effectively, is what you're doing.
There's a movie called The Chamber, and in it, one of the plot points is that the amount of time you spend in the simulation is determined before you go into the simulation by the mix that you use to put them in the simulation. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's boring as heck, because it's basically just a chamber where synthetic food shows up and just enough water to keep you alive is available.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me put like a little wrinkle into this, right? What you brought up first, Samuel, is that even though the person may have served the 70 years, there was no real punishment, especially if you're saying, like you said earlier, if the liberals like sanitize it. So then, if that's the case, why not have that particular person serve his sentence, but he's actually doing something? Like he's actually, let's just say that we kind of gamify it in a way, but it's like a game like Dark Souls or something like that. Where it's a really, really hard mode type of thing, but he gets killed a lot.
You're gonna make him die over and over again?
No, not just that. But in the process of doing it, he has to overcome these bosses, and he gets loot. And that loot is worth actual money out in the real world. So he's actually giving back. They can't give back the actual person's life that they have. No, but they can probably amortize with some kind of amortization table, give back the estimated lifetime earning of that person to the family that they've offended. You see what I'm saying?
It's a little more than an offense, brother.
Yeah.
Say it
The
again?
main problem with that is it would be a violation of the Eighth Amendment because you are forcing him to suffer agonizing death after agonizing death.
Well, no, but Dark Souls in general, everybody enjoys that. So he'll die maybe a couple of times. He'll adapt. He'll change. He'll adapt his tactics. He'll become better and better at the game. And the longer he plays the game for that time period, and then he pays it back.
Instead of having him physically fight stuff like a bad gamer simulation, have him go through a perfectly ordinary life, and anytime he steps out to criminal behavior, it forces him to restart.
See, but then we gotta have the punishment of it, because the punishment of it is because people aren't going to be satisfied.
He has to do a real life correctly without criminality for some given amount of time, say not years.
Are we restarting like potty training every time? Like, are we going that far back?
No, when I say restart, he goes to court. He is sentenced to 5 years in retraining or re-education or whatever. He gets put in the freaking machine, and the next thing he knows, he's walking out of court, and they just turn him loose, right? So he's like, and I'm free, and they're like, yeah, and he just walks off into the world. But anytime he starts to do any kind of criminal shit, even a little bit shady, nothing, if it's not illegal, it doesn't restart him. But anything that crosses the line to illegal, bam, he's walking out the very first day again.
Again, the problem with that is that could
your
be
shit out.
Like a weird kind of Groundhog's Day type of thing?
Like Groundhog's Day, but for the justice system. Yes, sir. You have to make a habit of living non-criminally.
The fundamental problem with that is
done in a simulation in your head.
It fundamentally violates the Eighth Amendment because it could be deemed as a form of psychological torture.
Shadow, can we all agree that we are currently planning on violating the Eighth Amendment with our non-existent future plans to torture criminals through maddening means?
Right? Yeah, I don't believe in torturing criminals. I'm not a member of the
Eighth Amendment.
I'm not a member of the 8th Legion. I prefer the 12th Legion's application of criminal justice system, just summary executions.
Yes, I mean, that's very effective, but it also tends to kind of weed out the smarter individuals in a given society.
And what I'm actually offering here with the simulation is actual way of, number one, you lower the recidivism rate, number one. Number two, you pay back the debt, literal debt to society. And three, you actually get this person to learn their lesson. And you might even give them a whole new skill set. Heck, you could probably have gladiatorial games too. Afterwards.
See, that's where everything starts. This is not wrong. We are not wrong. We should ever abide by the circus and games, bro. The bread and circuses shouldn't do it for us. Are we not educated men?
Well, that's true, but that's just like an option that he has. It's an option, but I'm talking about the other part of it, the part that I offered initially. I think that gives a form of restitution to the family. It gets him to, number one, not want to commit crime again, because he doesn't have to go through that crazy bullshit he went through. And I think it ultimately, it would be a better idea because he gets the punishment, the family gets restitution, and I think the family, I think the society as a whole could benefit from that. I think. I didn't know that was Ready Player One. I didn't know that, but yeah.
What up, everybody?
What's up, Clay? What up?
So,
yo, saying
I gotta go back to something Shadow said here. Good to see you, Clue. Welcome in. The whole summary execution thing doesn't really do it for me. I know that you're thinking probably along the lines of you just take care of the problem, they can never do it again.
I was thinking along the lines of sarcasm,
that kind of thing. Oh, okay.
I was entirely sarcastic.
I can't get behind summary execution for a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I do actually believe in due process. I don't believe that our justice system works. I think it's broken as fuck, but I do believe in the idea of due process. And number two,
I agree.
Even if you didn't believe in the idea of the due process, like you're wasting resources. You're wasting, like when you take somebody's life, they can no longer do anything to contribute to anything. So even if you're talking about like hard labor in a quarry somewhere, those prisoners are still contributing with whatever life they have left. when you take their lives, right? You take that out of the equation, right? It's a waste of resources. There are exceptions to this. People who harm children need to be ground into sawdust, but
wood chipper.
which,
Just
by the
treated with
way,
a chainsaw.
sawdust has its uses too. I'm just saying.
You can make them into high explosives. There you go.
Yeah, but yeah,
you
the
could
whole
do
summary
what,
execution thing doesn't really work for me.
Make them into
so,
soap.
no. Like if you have an abundance, again, specific individuals, you cannot, like, if it's not a realistic situation, but let's say you had like a Punisher like dude, like someone who could walk into New York City and just kill everyone and you somehow apprehend him, you are not giving that kind of person the chance to escape. But if we're talking about like a random freaking gangbanger who's got like a triple murder on his rap sheet, yeah, no, toss him in the damn mines. But unfortunately that would probably fall under things that violate is it the 13th or the 14th Amendment that ended slavery? I always get that mixed up.
It's not slavery if you pay them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but why would you pay them?
Why do you think they do that
penny an
now in the
hour is
current prison
payment,
system?
by the way.
These guys who were making fucking license plates in California, they're getting dick for pay, but they are being paid. That's how they get around it.
Slaves, though? That doesn't make much sense.
So you get, because they're not slaves this way.
Oh, right, they're student athletes. I forgot. Sorry about that.
Indentured service.
Yes.
Indentured servitude. That is exactly what it is. It's
Student
the company store. Listen
athlete.
to the model. Listen to the model and tell me this doesn't sound like Ford Town. They get placed in this location that they are not allowed to leave. They have an availability of commissary and availability of time. They can use their time to earn money to use in the commissary, but everything in the commissary is marked up 1,000%, and all of your time is marked down 1,000%. And you do enough work to make your own feedback, but the feed is crap.
Yeah.
Prisons are work camps. That's what they
Always
are.
have been.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to use this mind system thing and just completely toss out the Eighth Amendment, what you do is you create like a generated situation where the criminal in question finds a woman, produces a family, and then you take the family from him using replicas of himself. And you do this repeatedly until he gets the lesson that you took someone's family from them when you committed your crime.
That doesn't teach
And then
us
afterwards,
the lesson. It does.
and then afterwards, once they are rehabilitated, you then make them serve a real life sentence, knowing that they are now mentally predisposed to contributing to society. That's my
Okay,
solution.
so-
Thanks for violating the Eighth Amendment.
Yeah, I don't know that there is a good solution here. I don't know
I
that
don't
there is
know,
one. I
man.
think you're going
I don't
to
know.
see drastic
I
drawbacks
really
in
like
any
the
given.
idea. I really like the idea of the loot in the sense that you are forcing the individual to learn to live like a normal everyday person without crimes. And this would probably almost completely eliminate recidivism, because some people perpetrate crimes because they've just lived that lifestyle forever, 3 generations or so. That's what they grew up. My father was a car thief and I'm going to be a car thief. My father was mafioso and I'm going to be mafioso. So when these people don't have the ability to make a criminal act, to do so puts them back at the very beginning of their sentence. They will make a habit in their life of being contributive members of society without having to resort to the abuse and overreach and all of the stuff that I'm hearing. Because, I mean, you're talking about creating an artificial family in somebody's head and then having them murdered so many times that they're psychologically traumatized.
Oh no, I'm not talking about that. That wasn't what I'm talking about. But you know what? Let me meet you halfway. Yeah, but let me meet you halfway though.
That's tossing out the Eighth Amendment by even theorizing on using this machine.
But wait a minute, Sasquatch. Let me meet you halfway like this, right? Okay. So we give them the loot, right? But as an added along with it, because we want to actually do something where it actually restores to the family the loss of whatever may have happened to them, especially in the case of murder. Can we then, in that particular instance, maybe have them work, and maybe in the simulation or in the loop?
You're starting off on a false footing. I don't
can't?
think I don't think you have anywhere to stand on trying to do restitution against a murder. A murder is a murder, and as such, typically an
You're right.
stands as a life sentence.
But you're correct. You're right. But however, seems how we can, like I said before, we cannot replace the actual life of the person in terms of what the person was, what he could have contributed to society. At the very least, and like that's how they do life insurance. Life insurance is calculated in terms of amortization payments, where it's basically what an actual person could actually have learned in their lifetime if they're healthy, with the level of education that they have, the type of occupation that they have, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how they figure out, at least to a somewhat degree, what a person would be, I guess what you want to say, I hate to say it like this, but what a person would be worth in terms of economics.
Yes, but you can't do that. Not really. Not really. I don't think there's a person who would accept that figure in relation to a specific individual in their life. If you murder my sister, there is no value you can put on that. There is no amount of money that I will agree is worth the life of my sister. That is not a thing. And to think that it is a thing is a very strange thing to me, because people don't have like value like that. They're valuable because they're people.
I know that, but seeing as how I'm trying to figure out a way where at least something can be given back to the family. Because to be honest with you, if a person did commit murder of another person, I say that person's life is no longer theirs. They are actually become the replacement of that person, that other life. Like they're almost like, say, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of the story.
They owe a life debt, so their life is no longer their own, and it is up to the victims or the families of the victim to decide what they do with their life going forward. Which actually, I don't necessarily have an issue with.
That's what I'm saying. But
I got a whole video about that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying here is, if it's for one person, I can see that. But if a person had committed multiple murders, the family should be able to get back something. You know what I'm saying? Even if they can't get the person back, I think something has to be given to the family.
Well, let me run this one by you. Yeah. Whenever you get the guy and he's convicted of these murders, and there's 6 victims, 6 families. How about this? We take the guy, we cut him up, sell his organs, and give the family the cash.
I mean, if that's what you want to do, hey.
I don't do that.
If that works, if that'll work, hey, that'll work.
I mean, the average human being
gives you a flat value for the value of this person's life, and you're good with that.
Hey, if that'll work, that'll work. Yeah.
It's wild, man. Okay, all right, we're gonna have to talk more later.
I'm trying to
Shadow,
do it in a way where
man, you're kind of getting buried.
I'm sorry. My bad.
Oh, sorry. What I was saying was the average human being is worth about 500,000 organs, probably more than that, or $500,000 in organs, probably more than that if you can actually refrigerate them before harvesting.
Well, not if you're suddenly giving away all of the people who have perpetrated murder, and all of a sudden they're all just on the chopping block, bro. The price of an organ would go down.
Seeing how few organs there are in the market for legal purchase, I imagine the price would stay fairly consistent, especially since you are constantly going to have a revolving door of people needing transplants and people receiving transplants. The price might dip a little bit, but like a heart's still going to be worth a lot.
Okay,
probably
yeah, no, I'll give you.
Gets involved in regulating it.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But still, I don't think you can quantify the value of a person through monetary amounts. You could go in and calculate how much they would earn. You could calculate how much they would contribute to society. You can calculate how many taxes they would have hypothetically paid. What you can't do is say that that person was a good person or a bad person through a monetary figure. There's no way, because what's going to happen is they're going to try to tell you that he was a worse person because he was uneducated. He would have earned less over the long term, which is not necessarily the case. Necessity is the mother of invention, not colleges.
See, I love here. Are we talking specifically about the human being's meat or the soul? Because if you are someone who does not believe in the soul, then humans can be measured in quantifiable values.
Even if
but
you
if you
believe
do
in the
believe
soul, even if you believe in the
value.
soul, you can't quantify that though.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
what I'm
unquantifiable.
pointing out.
It's an intangible concept.
Let's
It's
try
impossible
this
to
one.
define.
The dude just wants to
terms.
chop people up and sell them. Oh.
I'm just trying to figure out a way where everybody can at least get something out of this. The guy, he learns a lesson. The family can get something from for their pain. It's not so. I'm trying to make it work for everybody. At least trying to.
Unfortunately, that requires the world to be fair, and the world isn't fair.
No, I know that's. I know it is not fair.
It's
But
unfairness.
Yeah.
We approach you with this idea. We
Okay.
can take any criminal, no
Mhm.
matter how deranged,
Gotcha.
put him through this program. He'll be gone 2 weeks, and when he gets back, he
Mhm.
will never commit crimes again, and will go on to be at least a normal figure in society, if not necessarily productive.
Mhm.
He will no longer crime. 100%, never, ever, ever any recidivism. It's never happened before. The only catch is
Mhm.
we can't tell you how we do it.
Okay, so then how does okay? So now,
I
how
don't
do
know
you
about
mitigate? How do you?
No
How do you?
questions.
But wait, how do you?
Nope.
How do you? No, because you got to ask this question because you keep bringing it up. How do you then satisfy the vengeance factor of those who have left behind, who are the victims?
I don't think vengeance is a satisfactory motivation. I understand the motivation and anger and dark emotions, but at the same time, these are the dark sides of us. And I'm not speaking in a forced situation. I'm just talking. This is the id trying to run your life. It is man to err, but it is heavenly to forgive.
Okay, but the person's still going to want, because the family's still going to want at least the feeling of justice.
I don't think the state should be responsible for acquiring vengeance for any reason. Vengeance shouldn't be on their table at all. I understand families are upset by murders happen.
Yeah.
Here's another thought too, because if we're going to be putting people up on the organ market or whatever, Andy brings this up. It's like, how many people would be wrongfully imprisoned for the organ industry? And the problem here that I'm seeing is that there's not really a good way to do this, because you don't want the state to be too fucking involved in anything, honestly, ever, because they will always go to the worst possible thing that you could do and profit from it. The other problem with that, though, is especially in America, and I hate saying this about my fellow Americans, but we are opportunists. And how many people, like, look at what happened with the privatization of real world prisons, man. You know, there are people being locked away for no goddamn reason because they get paid to keep people in prison. You know, like, somebody's going to find a way to monetize this and use it against people who do not deserve it.
Right. And I imagine the first handful that goes are going to be the homeless.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Suddenly clean. Be careful.
Round up, especially in San Francisco and places like that, in LA.
Yeah.
I am suddenly all for this plan. Sam,
Damn!
I love your suggestion. Sam, I love your
He just
What happened to your Eighth Amendment love, brother?
Damn!
Most of them almost got levied against me, honestly.
Shit! He
Okay,
kicked the door all the way in.
This is
Just
why
like
we
I got my boss a latte from Starbucks purely out of nepotism. As long as the amendments being violated doesn't affect me, I don't care.
Damn.
He's convincing me. I'm starting to go with the kid on this one.
And to be clear, for everyone who does not recognize that this is a joke, this is a fucking joke. This is not an actual call for the removal of the Eighth Amendment. I love
Wait a second. Hold on.
He wants to be an organ broker.
Oh, me evil.
Let's work with it. So we suspend the Eighth Amendment, and then, so the chamber, right? They just program you in 12 years, and you sit in a little boring room and do nothing.
No, we don't even need to suspend the Eighth Amendment for the organs thing. Just invade a foreign country. The Eighth Amendment doesn't apply to them.
Damn. So you ready to commit war crimes? Doggone, bruh.
Are you Canadian?
Sheesh.
Don't fucking insult me like that. And it's not a war crime unless the Canadians have done it.
No, once you've done that just for the organs, that will have become a war crime when we hang you.
Only if it's the Canadians. Only when Canadians and Nazis do it is it a war crime.
It's not a war crime when the Canadians do it because they're innovative fucks.
No, it's not a war crime when the Canadians do it because
Folks
they
in
were the first to
Nuremberg
do
will
it.
see things a little differently.
I think Andy Pickle, if you wanted to look at this real quick, Sammy, I think he had something pretty interesting. And it's continued down right at the
I pose
errands.
a different question. Why haven't we invented and used in court a foolproof lie detector? My immediate thought is that this would cost the lawyers their fat pay. My question is, the is it the Fifth Amendment that you can't be forced to self-incriminate, or is it the Fourth against illegal search and seizure? I
Both.
think it's probably both.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
you're correct on
Wasn't
both counts.
wasn't self-incriminate from Miranda versus Texas? I think the one basically the guy where Miranda rights come from, where the guy basically spilled the whole thing to the cop because the cop kind of leaned on it a little bit in the like not actual physical leaning, but you get my meaning.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, there was a
poetic.
history of that kind of thing happening, but yeah,
That's
typically it was
Hold on.
like people
Hold on,
would
amendments right now.
get confessions beat out of them prior to the whole Miranda thing, and so yeah, when that got brought to light, but I think Andy, that's that falls under both of those amendments.
Actually, it's the
Also-
Fifth. It is specifically the Fifth.
I'm saying once you're convicted, though, your rights have been abbreviated. You can no longer own guns. Your freedom of movement is immediately abridged. So,
You can't
how
vote.
many rights does a prisoner have? I mean, let's be
Apparently
honest.
enough to vote, according to Bernie Sanders.
Don't.
Well, except that they don't. That a convicted felon loses that right to vote. They lose.
Yes.
They lose. They get, like he's saying, the
And hey-
citizenship abridged.
Sam,
They get their
Sam,
rights
that's-
curtailed.
But Sam, that's collective punishment. How could you go against the intrinsic liberal value that says 100 innocent men, one innocent man?
I hate
must
when
not
you do this
suffer?
like sarcasm shit, right?
I did not know you hated it. I will cease to do it because I don't want you to hate me any more than you already do.
I don't
Oh.
hate you, kid.
Oh, okay.
No,
Should do.
you're
should
not
do
wrong.
more.
Though. It's
Lock it for you right here.
so the problem that I'm seeing here is that while we have the Bill of Rights and the subsequent amendments attached to it in the Constitution, right? These were supposed to make things clearer, and I think in some ways they have done exactly the opposite of that. Things were to be very clear, very direct, and very simple at the outset of this little experiment we call the United States. And we have attached so many referendums and laws and memos and what have yous over the last 200 years, most of which in the last century, I might add, and this one, that it has become confounded to a point where there is no way to. It's like the Gordian knot of justice.
Yeah.
Right, there's no way to untie this thing.
personally-
We're just going to have to slice right through it and start the fuck over.
I personally blame the scale things have gone to, because originally, like when the whole thing of like you will have a lawyer, you will have a judge, you'll have a that was for communities that were maybe like at the most a couple thousand people. These were relatively small townships where you knew either everyone or the people you didn't know you were related to through a cousin or something. So we are applying certain constitutional standards to population groups that are in the millions. Like if you're getting your like lawyer in frickin' New York City, they don't know who you are. They don't care about you. The jury doesn't know anything about your moral character. They don't know anything about you. So of fucking course, like, because the point was that these would be the people in the community who know you and would know what kind of person you are. But you don't have that anymore. So the jury isn't really valuable. The lawyer's mostly in it for a paycheck now, and they've got
I disagree.
so many damn cases.
So
Well, okay,
I disagree on
potentially.
the jury thing. The jury needs to be impartial, which means that they shouldn't know anything about you. They should only be focused on the evidence presented before them.
Exactly.
Hmm.
12
I did-
impartial people.
So how do they
I'm
handle
in-
Because
celebrity
because
cases?
if they know you, they automatically have a bias when they get selected for jury or whatever. If they know you, if they know of you, if they know of your history and your family and your contributions to the community and all that shit, they already have a bias, good or bad, right? So they are already leaning towards guilty or not guilty when they get on that fucking jury. If you want an impartial jury, you can't have that. A jury of your peers doesn't necessarily mean a jury of people who fucking know you, dude. It means a jury of people who are on your level.
I guess that makes sense.
But how do they handle celebrity cases?
Sequestration.
I don't know. Fucking burn them all.
Well, sequestration.
Sam and
I
are
wasn't
in
looking
agreement.
for that answer, but okay.
Sam
What
and I
they
are in
do.
full agreement. Prostitutes and actors may not be in the town square during a holiday. Let's go back to the Roman days. Celebrities don't get rights, just like squatters.
Oof.
That is not sarcasm, by the way. That is not a joke.
Man, oh man,
Yeah,
oh
I know it's
seven.
not.
Yeesh.
Well, I'm making sure the chat knows.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
that's
see, Andy, that's a good point. Like, none of that shit was impartial. The judge wasn't impartial. The fucking media wasn't impartial. The jury sure as fuck wasn't impartial. You know,
At
like
all.
none of that was impartial. And part of that is because he was so high profile. Like everybody in the country knows fucking Trump's name. People all over the world know Trump's name. You're not going to find an impartial jury for that man ever.
Right.
It can't
Nowhere.
happen.
Also, the
So
fact that
Everybody's
Amish-
got an opinion on it.
Wait a second.
Well, also the fact.
Here's what we do. We'll go to the North Sentinelese. We'll kidnap 12 of those guys, throw them in a courtroom, and then try Trump.
Doggone.
Some English first.
Sheesh.
Damn it. I knew there was a flaw in my plan.
You gonna commit human rights violations just for that? Doggone, bro.
Don't we need to give them like a Duolingo account?
Calm
and,
down,
like,
fam. Oh,
learn in Duolingo.
12
No, we're
blind
gonna
and
use
deaf
dictionary,
people.
kid.
12
we're
blind
just
and
gonna
deaf
use
people.
Dictionary.
Let's just give them Pictionary.
Yeah.
What? Wait, what if you were to use? Hold on.
Come
Okay,
on, man.
I already know that this is a horrible idea because it would be easily compromised. But AI juries. So you.
I was gonna say the
generate
exact
12
same thing. Yeah.
You generate 12, and I already know, Sam, that these are easily compromised, but modern juries are easily compromised. You generate 12 in AI with like no social contexts whatsoever, and you give each of them
Makes
a
zero
12
sense.
AGIs. 12 AGIs. You just pop
But
them
they
right
don't
on
care
out.
about the value of life.
I mean, but they're
That
being
doesn't
partial.
even matter.
No,
You're just asking, are they guilty or are they
does.
innocent?
It does matter.
Here's a better idea.
It
Let's
does matter.
just take a
Because
wheel
12
and
yokels who
spit.
think, yeah, 12
What?
yokels who hate my guts are less likely to find in favor of my immediate death than 12 AIs who would not only find in favor of my immediate death, but everybody else's as well.
Well, no. Here you go. Here you do. What you do is with the AGI, you give them instructions. The instructions are sentencing guidelines are XYZ for this particular crime. These are the parameters in which you are to operate in terms of finding
But
you
I
guilty
don't
and
trust-
also giving a sentence.
Sam's
I'm
right.
sorry, I
don't-
Amazon AI peers know.
Y'all are creating Skynet right now.
No, Amazon's doing
That's what I'm
that.
saying.
Amazon is doing that.
You are creating a blueprint for Skynet.
All right.
No,
I feel
Yeah.
like the AI jury would be exactly the same thing, or the end result of writing guilty and innocent and spinning a freaking pointer. Unless you program it for specific, to specific. Even if you program, I still wouldn't trust it. I do not trust AI, just in general, but specifically for my life, absolutely not. Remember, I'm slightly right over to the Hun. We have to do what I say do, and if we're not going to do that, let's do this voting thing I keep hearing about.
voting is a really stupid idea. The helots should not have the same.
Whatever, man.
rights
Something
as
other than me being wrong.
No, Squatch. Voting is a really stupid idea. Why should the helot have the same vocal opinion as the spartiate? It should be limited to only individuals of
I think
caliber.
you're
Men
too
over
much into this,
26.
man. It was a joke.
Men over 26 who pay taxes and own land.
See, Stormcrow, that's not selective enough. I
No,
believe
that's
we
not.
should use
We
it-
all
That
look the
was
same.
Rob.
That's me.
That was yeah. Not me.
Oh, sorry, that was Clue.
Just because they're they're both black, kid. Jesus.
See?
We don't all look the
That's
same.
objectively, no, Clue. No, Clue. I'm thinking more of what the Spartans did. Their level of selection, I feel, is appropriate for voting. I feel like that should be the minimum bar for the standard for voting. You need to be of good genetic quality. You need to be 40.
You're a eugenicist. You sick fuck.
You're a eugenicist. Yeah.
You're a eugenicist. You're an actual
Good
Nietzschean.
quality.
Okay.
Who gets to decide what that is? You?
Yeah, exactly. Number one, number
Obviously, I
two.
do.
Let's just say if you
Obviously,
do
I
all that, you have all those criteria, right? But those people still vote against you anyway. Just because they have the proper characteristics does not mean that they're going to vote in the way you want them to do.
They
You do
would
realize
because
that,
I'm
right?
right. This entire
What?
thing is sarcasm.
He got me on that one. You know what? You're right. You're right. My bad. You got me on that
yeah,
one.
but
kid.
you suck. You're like, how do you argue?
But your idea is far less fun.
He's like, yeah, but I'm right.
I was like, he got me. He got me. I don't know what to. Yeah, he got me.
Just like a communist or a fascist or like any of these other groups who say the system will work because I'm the one to implement it. My system would objectively work because I'm the one to implement it.
Okay. Then what happens when you inevitably expire?
Well, he won't because he'll have a superior being.
Huh?
Why are you being a bigot? Why are you intruding on my truth? What are you, racist? I'm gonna stop before I get someone killing me over me being a sarcastic bullshit.
You know, it was really funny is that you calling him a racist not seconds after you mistook one black man for the other.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Big oof.
It's a lot of clippable moments here.
It's a little rich.
That is the only reason I'm around. Clippable moments, and I'm a good fucking punching bag.
Yeah, you're a good sport. You're a good sport.
No, I keep you around, kid, because you're smart. Actually,
yeah,
contribute
you
quite a
know
bit to this. I push back against you because it's funny.
Guilty. That is exactly the story.
I don't have any more to that. That's it. It's just funny.
I clip it. Clip him calling me smart before he deletes the stream. Clip it.
There you go. He can't take it back now. We got it on the wax.
Look, for everybody out there listening, if you don't know Shadow the Hawk, first of all, go check out his channel. Everybody on panel here's links are in the description, both here and on Rumble. Go check him out. They do great stuff. The kid is smart as hell. He's annoying, but he's smart as hell, and he's sharp as a fucking tack. He knows what he's talking about most of the time.
In his defense, the reason he's annoying is because he's smart as hell. He's right, and you have to sit there. And
yeah. Yeah, it does get it can get on the nerves. But, it's just because you're normally I don't give this much credit to somebody so young. I don't. And the reason is because most of your generation doesn't fucking think past the next two steps they're going to take. You, however, have spent a lot more time than is healthy, in my opinion, making correlations between very obscure events from fucking 1,500 years ago to things that are happening in modern politics and the news today, which is, that takes a special level of autism, but you're not stupid, kid.
I see personally that what you have isn't autism, it's altrism. You got a rhythm with the tism.
I mean, I can't take all the credit.
You better stop with that because you know what? I've been in a long-running battle with this one dude just over the I, the S, and the M in my name. So you better be careful how you say that because this dude literally is mad. And I'm not talking seething mad that I exist. Okay? So be careful with that. And you think I would lying, but I'm not.
They're welcome to drink at the fountain of hate with the rest of my haters. I don't have a problem with it.
I think it's crazy.
I don't have that many haters. It's weird. I know I've said things that piss people off, but I just surprisingly I don't get that.
Come to Nibbertube and just exist. You'll have more than enough.
Damn, I would think I'm not even allowed. I was like gotten you on YouTube or something.
Huh?
I can't go to Black YouTube. I get blocked just for showing up in chat because the very first name over here is Caucasian, and they're just like, nope.
Nah, you'd be cool. If you were on the Gulag stream, brother, you wouldn't even have no problem.
Yeah, we don't have a problem.
The Gulag game stream, we had good.
I'll be honest, I bounced off of several because I'm trying to do like unique forays into just all types of YouTube. It's not the color of the channel that matters. It's the content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there is such thing, just like there's a bread tube and there's a book tube and a law tube. There is a black YouTube, and they are those people.
Oh yeah, trust me.
Oh, years ago, I went up on a couple of panels on Lapeef when my friend Amira was doing shows for them over on their channel. And I went up on a couple of them. This was like really fucking early on into my YouTube anything. I wasn't doing streaming on this channel or anything yet. Yeah, you were there. And I went up there and she was talking about something along the lines of like, life after divorce and that kind of thing. And like whether or not people would be getting married again. And anyway, I went up, I said my piece and all that. And I guess I came off as a little bit morose and sad. But to be fair, it was a lot closer to my divorce than I am today. But it was funny because I kept seeing people in chat just going like, who is this asshole? Why does he sound so white? And I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, because I am.
I gotta tell you something, Sam, and I want you to know this comes from my heart. Divorce can really change a person. I used to be a short black woman.
Damn. Damn. That must have been one hell of a divorce. To change nationality, size, gender, age. Damn, that was must have been one.
Took everything from me.
Damn, they took it. The house, the car, the kids, the dog. I want it all.
I guess it should have gone in like this, right? They would have probably been more accepting.
Damn, I ain't gonna lie.
I mean, I look like I'm for the streets now, but still.
Shush. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, man, look.
I've been looking like
If it's snowing, I'm going, baby. I tell it every time. If it's snowing, I'm going. I've been married to a tall, blonde Amazon successfully now for 13 years. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck are all of you older than me?
Because we've been alive longer? I mean, I don't know.
Egg. You have yet to advance in years far enough. See, we'll die before you get here. We all know that.
I'm sorry, bro. You got born a little too young to join the club. I'm sorry, homie. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I only just hit 21.
For context, guys. For those of you who don't know, Shadu here he's a great guy. He's a great kid. He's very smart. You know, we like having him around. But there is one thing that doesn't. So there's a gap in his knowledge of history, and it's like about 30 years between when he was born to 30 years before that. There's a bunch of shit in there he didn't know about, right? And we brought some stuff up to him, like the Jim Jones thing, the Heaven's Gate thing, you know, and some other stuff. So here's the thing: he missed 9/11.
Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, I know exactly where I was.
Are you saying
so,
at this point?
And that's not a knock, kid. It just means that you're young. But the thing is like you do not know the world that came before then. It was different. It was very different.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I am excited for Hollywood's reboot of that event, though. I'm curious what they'll do with it.
Did you know that you could go to your airport, wherever it was, you'd walk in with all your stuff and like taped to bags and strapped on, and you'd pack as much crap up on the airplane as you could. You might even have to help the baggage handlers load up the crap and then get on an airplane. It was kind of more like taking a bus than it was like air travel today, because now you have to physically go through a sexual assault every single time you walk into it.
The terrorists won. They won. Because there are movies about that.
A bunch of diddlers.
Yeah,
well, I think
check it out.
An airport where that wasn't a thing.
Imagine it. No. It's still way beyond what you can. You used to be able to go by the liquor store, pick up a pint of vodka and some Coke, and put them in your pocket. You go up, buy a ticket, get on an airplane, and as soon as you take off, you'd start shooting shots and drinking your Coke, and smoking a freaking cigarette. And nobody said a word.
Yep. And your loved one could kiss you goodbye on the plane. That's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
All because
you
some
used to be
fucking
able to
Arab
smoke
guy
on the damn
decided
thing.
to let a woman fly a plane.
Well,
Oh shit!
What did you say?
You know, not one of them had to learn to land, and that's the
Slide right
tricky
past
part about flying.
That always puzzled me. I'm like, wouldn't you just throw that lesson in just so people won't say anything or get
No,
suspicious?
they didn't.
You ain't throw it in. You can sleep during a class. You can doodle, whatever. Just throw it in there so people won't get suspicious.
No, man. That's wasted time. We're here for Allah. Glory be. You ever been to any Southern Baptist?
I can't call them Southern Baptist Church.
Hardcore, Bible thumping, living, breathing Word of Christ Southern Baptist. You ever kind of one of them?
Yep.
That's the church I grew up in.
Okay. Take that type of zealotry, but give it a turban and one of them little spotted kid cloths, and change the name of God to Allah, and it's okay to kill people, right? That's the one thing that keeps the Deep South safe, is all of the people who are nuts are Southern Baptists, and they believe it's wrong to murder. And so very few murderers are Southern Baptists. And when they do murder people, quite often they show up at the police station and go, yeah, I just killed my wife. Couldn't take it anymore. She cheating on me with the old Brookins kid. This is welcome to the South, bro. This is kind of how it goes. So I see those people who go in and Dalai Lama,
The Dalai Lama is not even Arab.
Mixing up religions there, but yeah.
You were so insensitive. You were such an asshole.
This is racism day.
You use a Buddhist term for
Welcome to Racism 101, where we're going to be talking about all kinds of things that will get us canceled.
Damn. He said Dalai Lama. What? It's Allahu Akbar. Damn, say me say that.
It's not racism, it's religion, but
Who can we offend today?
Shit.
I just nailed everybody
to
in
be
one
fair, the
shot.
Dalai Lama likes fucking making out with little boys, so it's fine.
That's true. He asked the kid to suck on his tongue. What a weird.
Wait, what? How?
Oh,
What?
yeah, I
What?
remember that, brother.
What's that? What's that, brother? Ugh.
Wait, Sam, we haven't offended the socialists yet. We should do something about that.
I went on a whole communist.
Oh, that's
The whole
easy.
first half of the show was.
Everything offends them.
I wasn't here for that. I was doing a nepotism.
Oh, okay.
That sounds sexual.
It should be.
Damn. He said
Weird,
something.
huh?
Oh, that's my,
He's,
that was my
he's, he's our nepo baby.
Oh, let me turn this off.
That's terrible. No. But it's. I think that's. There is something to be said about that, though. Like, look, I know that there are good Muslims. I know several of them. I spend a lot of time with them. They're great fucking people, right? I also know, like,
100%.
I look at it like this. So there are approximately 2.1 billion Muslims in the world, right? And that number is growing. Only about 5% of all Muslims are actually like in the terrorist game. They're actually in the violence and kill all the infidels game. But that's still like 50 million fucking people.
That's true. But most of them are in war-torn, impoverished regions of an area that can't grow a turnip.
That's
Also, throughout the vast majority of human history, it's always a small percent of a population actually waging a conflict. So
That's true. That's true.
not trying to go, it's all of them, but it's probably in regards to the loyalties to those organizations, it's probably higher. It's just only 5% actively, unless you're saying like people who have expressed sympathies for the organization.
But I
Have
also
you
look
ever
at it like
heard the
this: if you go
20%
back
rule?
500 years, it was the Christians doing this shit. So
Crusades.
oh, not even Crusades, man. I'm
They
talking
weren't
like
flying-
more
they
recently
weren't
than that.
letting women fly planes, but aside from that, yeah, it was basically the same.
Well, there weren't any planes.
Yeah, exactly. The world was a better
So that's-
place. Oh.
No, but the point is that there is currently a subset of the group who is a threat to pretty much everybody, and there are a number of people coming from Muslim countries, whether these people are in fact Muslim themselves or not. They are coming from Muslim countries to other countries, to European countries, for example, to the United States, although mostly to Europe, and they are causing problems. They are doing horrible shit. There's a reason that the term rape gang is a thing in England now.
Yeah.
Like really fucked story where you had like I think it was like 2 Afghan dudes fucking a woman, like raping a woman, excuse me, and then 3 Pakistani dudes walked by and joined in.
Oh,
Like Europe,
Mhm.
and that was just reported on like it was just a thing that happens. Like what the fuck is wrong with Europe? That's rhetorical. I know what's wrong with that poor part of the world. Shit's getting bad.
Yeah. So it's like it's bad everywhere. People are starting to fight back a little bit and defend themselves, and as they should. And I frankly, I think I don't have any issue with like when
imagine
we
trying that
in
shit in
occupied.
Texas.
Yeah. When we occupied one of those shitty little desert countries in the middle of nowhere, I don't have a problem with the people who are from there fucking fighting us off. It's their home. I get it. That makes perfect fucking sense to me. Right? You don't want foreign people coming in and trying to change your way of life and to do horrible shit to you till you see things their fucking way. Problem is Europe is going through that fucking thing right now, and we are not supposed to be talking about that. We're supposed to turn a fucking blind eye to it.
Well, also the fact that the
it's happening here
Europeans
too.
and yeah, and it's because the West, compared to like people in Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan, which are they live a hardy life. They're made of fucking teak wood and are able to actually fight back and resist. In the West, the vast majority of people, if they wanted to resist, would be incapable of it. Most people can't function without their daily trip to Starbucks.
Pop quiz there.
Well,
Let
Dave.
alone
no, it's not even that simple.
No, no.
It's more simple than that, dude. Like, we are conditioned to not take action up against people who are clearly a threat to us for fear that the government will exercise their abundance of force and put us in fucking prison for defending ourselves. That's the problem. That right there is the problem. We're afraid of our fucking government.
Yep.
That's the
you mean
problem.
like
Not
well, no,
complacency, it's fear.
well, no, it goes hand in hand. Like, for instance, if you were a member of the Taliban and you like fought the Americans in the name of the Taliban and you were caught by the Karzai regime, they would arrest you. It's just they weren't terrified of being arrested and going to prison. It's the same thing with the people in the West are speaking as an aggregate. Obviously, pretty much everyone on this panel except for me is probably made of teak wood. Actually is made of teak wood. Probably is made of teak wood.
Mahogany.
The vast majority of Americans and British people,
Ebony
French,
myself,
Germans,
but
they're not in a position to resist. Like you said, they're scared of their governments pushing
I'm
the boot
ivory.
down.
there you go.
They're
That's not
scared
wood,
of the
though.
government pushing the
Not-
boot down.
not
They're scared
birds.
of having to live
Elephant
uncomfortably. So they aren't going to try to push back, hoping and praying that maybe things will get better. Because they are conditioned to living in plenty. It's mouse utopia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mouse
It's
utopia.
less mouse utopia.
Right.
It's less mouse utopia. It's conditioned to live a certain way. In mouse utopia, the mice eventually devour each other. We are not going to do that. We are going to let outside forces do it to us.
But you didn't
Well, yeah,
hear about
because
Stalingrad?
Well, because the laboratory techs didn't also toss in a bunch of rats and cats. I imagine if they added that as well, the mice in Mice Utopia would just sit there and let it happen, kind of like what's happening to the West.
I think snakes is probably a better analogy, but you're dead on.
Well, of course you like snakes.
No, I'm saying snakes eat mice, right?
Yes,
They're
so do
insidious.
cats and rats.
Servers.
Yeah,
They do
cats and
famous.
rats aren't subtle though.
Yeah.
Mm.
And cats just
Like,
kill.
have you ever seen rats attack other animals? It's not subtle at all. It is
Really?
It's
Rats? I never really seen that like that.
I would argue that what's going on isn't subtle. It's just the government actively suppresses information. It's not. They're not
There's
the
more
invaders
to it
aren't
than
being subtle.
suppression,
The governments
There's-
are hiding it.
There's so much more to it than mere suppression. If it was just suppression, it would be oppressive and it would be tyrannical, but at the same time, it would just be a bit of suppressed information. They're trying to change the entire narrative. They're changing the meanings of words, the interpretation. You know what Chevron deference is? You ever heard of that one?
Yep.
No.
That was a big deal here. Just
All right.
this week.
I'm going to take
Yeah.
a stab at this, and I might not be exactly right about it, but I'm pretty close. Chevron deference is the legal precedent that was utilized to allow the government entities that be to interpret different parts of their charters and bylaws as they wish rather than as the agreed upon legal lingo. The legal definitions were thrown out and new interpretations and legal definitions were written in. This is one of the ways that EPA, which I firmly believe this was a test case done to bolster Chevron deference, the EPA reinterpreted the term
Wetland.
tributary to mean any stream, ephemeral or otherwise, more than an inch deep. And there are times during the year when virtually every single part of this nation will run an inch deep because it rains hard enough to do it. And so the EPA basically gained the ability to yay or nay virtually any construction anywhere within 100 yards of anything that's ever been underwater. It is ridiculous.
For example.
I read that. I read through that. I was really curious about what that was, and yeah, that was really
So-
strange.
More recently,
By
it was
striking
used.
down-
Sorry.
Yeah, no. By striking down the whole Chevron deference, precedent, which the Supreme Court did earlier this week, they have essentially cut the nuts off of all of these fucking regulatory commissions and agencies running around making their own rules. It's not just the EPA, although the EPA is definitely one that fucking needed it.
FDA,
They have essentially forced them to play by the fucking rules instead of basically running around like a collection of Judge Dreds doing whatever the fuck they fucking feel like and calling it justice. Right.
There's a little more to it than that, though, because before Chevron deference, they had to operate specifically by the bylaws and charters and policies of the organization in question. After Chevron deference, anytime they came up to some obstacle they couldn't figure out how to do, some rights they couldn't figure out how to violate, they would look to their charter and reinterpret some legal mumbo jumbo to mean something it didn't. This is how bump stocks became a felony. This is how short-barreled rifles became a felony. This is how certain trigger designs became a felony. And the reason they're felonies is these were all classified as firearms under the ATF interpretation of the word firearm, that which they would never actually give a definition for. The overturning of Chevron deference means that we now have an even playing field with which to legally mete out these claims. Because previously they would just say, no, that's not how we're interpreting it, but they would never actually define how they interpreted it. And so anything they pointed at, they'd be like, that's a firearm. That's a firearm. That's a firearm. No, a bump stock does not make a machine gun. That's just not the way that definitions work.
So what you're saying is we may be getting deregulated machine guns again. I'm all for this.
No, I mean, you're talking long term. Look, it's not going to happen overnight. Andy's right here. If nobody's willing to step up and push back on this, like with, say, class action lawsuits against these things, or what have yous, there are other options, but I'm not allowed to say them on YouTube.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Andy, is overturning Chevron deference gives a legal recourse by which we can redress our government entities now. Previously, they would look at the court and say, oh, no, that's a tributary.
Right. And it ain't going to happen overnight. They're like, this is going to be a fucking process to roll back the powers that they have grabbed for themselves. But this gives us an opportunity to at least start that fucking process. Right. The only other option, in my opinion, is that we get somebody into the Oval Office, into the head of the executive branch, which most of these organizations are part of the executive branch. Right. To just start fucking gutting house. I say cleaning house, but no, I mean gutting. I mean like ripping the fucking guts out of them. Like we need to get rid of the NSA, the CIA, the EPA, the fucking ATF, all of these fucking agencies with 3 goddamn letters in their names. The FBI, fuck all of them. The IRS, number one and first and foremost, because it is 100% unconstitutional and illegal. Is just gut them all. Just fucking strip them all. We don't need them. We never needed them. They've only ever complicated our place in the world.
Certainly don't need them to manage American populace, right?
Sure.
We don't need the CIA spying on Americans. We don't need the FBI.
I thought that was outside of their charter to fuck around with us.
Chevron
is
allowed them to reinterpret what a citizen was and where they were.
In combination with the Patriot Act.
Yeah. But what they did is they basically said, okay, you're not under investigation, but you talk to a chick who once talked to Alfredo over here, who's on a government watch list, and by the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon rule that we have in the charters, it says that you get a tail for a few days, and the few days is as long as they decide to freaking surveil you. So let's say you're a perfectly normal individual. You hook up with a chick one night at a bar and you didn't realize that she was Amu Lakbar's freaking little sister or whatever, right? Suddenly you pick up a government tail from the CIA because you might be a contact. Now, this seems perfectly reasonable on its surface, but the problem comes in when that individual is a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil performing U.S. things. Sure, check out his accounts and see whether or not he's, emailing massive amounts of money to the Europe or to Africa or wherever, right? If not, leave him alone, man. Leave him alone. He ain't bothering nobody.
Yeah. So I don't know. I see this as a good thing though, the rolling back of this thing, because I don't think it magically fixes anything right away, but it does allow for citizen recourse. It does actually restore part of the First Amendment, which is the right to petition your government for a redress of grievances, which everybody forgets about. Right. This allows us to actually exercise that right against these fucking agencies that heretofore, have been immune to any kind of criticism or redress.
Accountability.
So
None.
this is a
No
good
accountability
thing.
whatsoever.
So it takes away their infallible Pope status.
Basically, it
Yeah,
takes away
yeah.
their ability to stand on a reinterpretation of rules, right? Of our truth instead of their truth. Instead, we have to. They are required by law in a court of law to return to the original legal meanings and definitions of the words and their contracts and bylaws.
Doesn't that require them to be able
Yeah.
to
So,
read?
for instance, you remember the YouTuber that got locked up for selling little credit cards that had little metal credit cards that had an auto seer outline in them?
No.
Homie got
No.
like 39 years or some crap. He's
Whoa.
still in some kind of arbitration or whatever is going on. But he made
Hear about
something
that,
that was a credit card. It was a bottle opener. It had a screwdriver tip on one side. It had a little it was a little multi-tool thing, but drawn on this metal card was a life-size, full-size auto seer for an AR-14 or an AR-15. And because of that, they decided he was trying to sell illegal parts to machine guns and charged him with every single feckin' one of them he sold.
Oh, wow.
That specific case is completely standing on Chevron deference.
Wow.
Because that card is a picture literally stamped on a piece of metal. If you take a drill press and cut out that piece and stuck it into a gun, it might fire once. You would have to actually know the dimensions, thickness, widths, the cuts, the drafts, all of that stuff to be able to get this to actually run and cycle. So the idea that this man was just selling machine guns is absurd to the extreme. Now, I am curious whether or not the metal of the cards was actually high enough quality to actually make one.
Yeah.
If that's the case, we might have some argument on some type of like high misdemeanor crime, but I still don't think it rises to the level of a felony.
Damn.
And even if it does rise to a felony, he shouldn't be charged for selling a machine gun, because that's very different to selling the components for it. And if we're going to arrest him for for distributing the components of a machine gun, if that's even what happened, then we should probably charge China for doing the same thing with fentanyl pre-composites.
Then all the people selling
Here's the thing.
bongs.
That's never going to happen, kid. But yeah, I don't disagree with that. But I also think that this goes back to the very, very, very fundamental Second Amendment that shall not be infringed. Everything that the ATF does is an infringement of the fucking Second Amendment. Right? Everything. Their mere existence is an infringement of the Second Amendment.
Exactly. Their very existence is an acknowledgement by the federal government that they wish to abbreviate your Second Amendment rights as much as possible. They created an entire division whose sole purpose is to figure out how you're criminally holding a firearm.
I should be allowed to own a Tommy gun. This is some fucking bullshit.
Thing was, 100 years ago, you could.
Yes, I know. The 1920s were amazing. They had like the best
he was there.
styles. They had the best parties. Unregulated machine guns. It was fucking base.
Sir, have you ever fired?
See how he knows about this, but he doesn't know about fucking Y2K. But okay.
These red grapes.
Y2K is. I watch King of the Hill. Fuck you.
Damn.
Because you ain't got
I
nothing.
didn't remember the details, but I know you motherfuckers were freaking out about Y2K because you were scared computers wouldn't know that it was the year 2000.
They were scared. I knew the
I
truth
was in
because
high
I was
school,
I was
man.
a
It wasn't me
computer
freaking
science
out.
major. I knew the truth. Y'all were scared.
I believe the Y2K
I
was
wasn't born yet. I was
federal
not.
government to wipe out the first AI that was generated back in the mid '80s.
You think so?
Deep Blue. Do you remember all
I
the
figured I'd
traps?
be fine. My dad taught me to hunt and shoot.
Uh-oh. There you go.
You know, so it's like, hey, if Y2K happens and the whole like modern world comes crashing down, I was going to be fine, man. I was taught to survive.
See, I got a question for you. Let's say we go through an apocalypse tomorrow. You wake up tomorrow morning and it's over. The whole thing's over. You realize it's over. It's bug out time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you team up with neighbors or do you get a dog?
Oh, dog, 100%.
Okay, so you get your dog and you're moving along, and at some point in time, you run across somebody, some random person who's in a tight spot, and you end up in the same tight spot because you're right there with them. And it comes down to a choice between saving the dog and saving the neighbor. Which do you save?
It depends on how
In an
much I like the
apocalypse
neighbor.
situation, things are different, right? In a modern society situation, I would say save the person because I don't necessarily believe in placing another species above my own. But
Hold on,
in
it
an
depends on the
apocalypse
person.
situation, right? You can trust the dog. You can't trust other people. Everybody's out for themselves one way or another, even if they think they're not. They'll turn
But I
on you
can
in a
set
fucking
it up
heartbeat.
real
Plus, there's more. Plus, I mean, dude, there's more meat on a person.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, I could. This dog will help me
See, there
find
we
more
go.
neighbors.
No, Sam. No,
See, now we
no,
going-
no.
Yeah,
This
nah.
dog will help me find more neighbors to eat. That person ain't going to do
Right?
nothing to eat.
Doggone.
No.
Come on,
Yeah, the
bro.
neighbor's just going to eat my fucking dog. The dog will be useful
Right?
later.
I do slightly disagree, Sam. If I know that the neighbor is a piece of fucking shit, I'm saving my dog over them.
I was going to say that.
Sure.
Depends on the behavior of the neighbor before the apocalypse.
That's why I caveat.
Before the apocalypse.
Kept
Absolutely
giving
my
me
dog.
shit about these hedges.
I was very,
Me and Doggy, we leaving together.
you didn't like my Halloween pumpkin, motherfucker. That was a classy pumpkin. It won first place.
I saw you took that package off my porch. Yeah. Yeah, I know it was you.
Jim from 2 doors down.
I know it was you.
You
Payback's
stealing my
real,
Netflix
almost the
DVDs.
same.
You don't think I knew it was you stealing my Netflix DVDs?
You the reason my Wi-Fi bogging down.
Exactly.
No, that's my fault.
Right.
That's actually my fault, Squatch. I've been doing that. That's on me.
All right, well, if it's you, I'll let it go.
Yeah,
But just
if
for
the-
you.
Oh,
I'm asking if the
nepotism.
neighbor is a redhead. Oof.
Dang, why you gotta ask the tough questions?
Breed.
I like redheads.
You
I
gotta
don't understand what the controversy is, Andy Pickle. I
No,
hear
we
you're a
love
redhead. I like
redheads over here.
breed. Yeah, man. Breed all day long. Breeding. Baby.
It's not a
populate-
controversy. I mean,
populate,
they're
baby.
scary.
Engaged to a redhead. We're cool with redheads.
Yeah, man. You gotta breed.
I'm
You
under
gotta
no
restore the
illusions
human
about redheads.
population.
They're fiery and they're scary, but they're hot.
Man, look. Sheesh.
And they're you know what? Here's the other thing. By breeding with redheads, I'm actually doing humanity a favor. I'm saving an endangered species. The smallest minority on planet Earth are redheads.
I did too.
2% of the entire population of the world are redheads. It's a very recessive gene. I am helping
it's
out.
like-
Yeah.
Isn't
Yes, it
doing
is.
red hair, blue eyes. Isn't that like maybe a couple 100,000 people in total?
I don't know, but I'm doing my
No,
part,
no.
and I'm willing to do more.
Huh. Huh.
So what you're saying is I
Read
can
the
write it off
serve, sir.
Wait, hold on. Sam,
I
what
like
you're saying
mine
is
fish
if I get-
belly white.
Sam, if you're saying if I get a red-haired wife, I can write off my children as endangered species and get tax
Possibly.
Dude, you
Possibly.
had better not get a red-haired wife. Amira will. She told you specifically you need a blonde, blue-eyed girl.
She doesn't get a fucking say.
I
but
think
why
she
does
does.
she care about that?
I don't know. I mean,
She wants you to save
she's a
face, dude.
fairly right-thinking woman. I mean, Why wouldn't you
Yeah, no,
take
but okay, so she doesn't get a fucking say in this, but like, why does she care? Like, what is her issue with redheads? I know my grandma's issue with brown eyes.
You don't know.
Dude, she doesn't care about redheads. I'm just giving you shit. I'm just calling back to the whole, like, she's demanded that you have Aryan babies with an Aryan woman.
No, she
That's
wants me
crazy.
like, what the fuck? Yeah, no, that's. And like, the more I just listen to women in my generation talk about their relationships, the more I'm like, I don't want to, because I like repeatedly I'll hear about how like, oh, a relationship's good, a relationship's good. A week later, yeah, we just kind of like decided we didn't want to do it anymore, and I'm like, okay, well, that's either you're fucking lying and your relationships were shit, or you, it is you still have the millennial view of things and everything is contractual, and I don't want either of those to be the case.
Here's the thing.
Does your
kid,
generation
it's-
still do relationships?
No, they
Kind
don't. This whole contractual relationship thing, right? I got to say something here. So the idea that people get married for love is a fairly recent invention, and it's a very Western invention, right?
Yes.
Marriage has always been contractual. I don't care if it's in the eyes of God or the
No.
government. It's always been an exchange of goods, right?
This
So
is one
I
of those
marry somebody.
situations.
What I mean,
Now, I'm not saying there can't. Hold up. I'm not saying there can't be attraction. There can't be love and affection. These are also things, but these are benefits. These are not the cause, right?
Yeah, they come later
Get married
after the
to
marriage.
someone to propagate your seed, secure your line. They get married to you to be provided for and protected, and to again also propagate their line. This has always been the contract. Now there are other contracts that came later, like with arranged marriages and with royal marriages and that sort of thing. It's always been about what can I gain for me and mine, right? That's why dowry existed for thousands and thousands of years, is because your daughter would marry into a family. You would be basically getting paid to allow that to happen. There was a benefit on both sides for this, right? Marriage has always been contractual. It's always been about an exchange.
I'm speaking
However,
to the autistic degree.
I'm
speaking to the autistic degree where two individuals have to sign fucking consent forms to even hold hands or make out. Like, I'm talking the autistic degree.
No,
millennials
that's just your generation being fucking retarded.
No. That's the fucking millennials. Peg that on them. That's on them before us.
Some of those bastards do like to get pegged.
They do.
Oh,
They do.
God.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Oh no.
Are you saying you like to get pegged?
No, I'm just quoting a friend on that.
Hey,
Don't ever say that about something like that.
call me.
Because once you get somebody like me who's going to come along, and I'm going to clip that little bit that says, they do like getting pegged, and you're going to come in and say, don't knock until you try it. And I'm not going to clip the rest of the context, just
okay?
that.
It's not an animated video of me getting fucking anal raped by a cactus. Like, what's worse?
He's
than
got a
that?
point, dude. You did that thing.
That's true. I didn't make
What-
that,
like,
but
what
I
are you
did
gonna
show it a
provide
bunch
her
of
that
times.
even worse?
That was Kohai.
And you
Evil,
still
the
hooked it up
evil
to
memer.
StreamYard and would play it. Just because Kohai was Smith & Wesson doesn't mean that you didn't hold the gun and pull the damn trigger.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm just giving Sam shit.
I got nothing.
mostly.
No, he's right. He's right. I
Of course
did
you
do it.
don't. I'm right.
Finally.
So, to be fair, I have not shown that in ages, and I'm not planning to now. I'd have to actually re-upload it to StreamYard. I stripped down a lot of the stuff that I had in the back there for that. But it was pretty fucking funny.
Absolutely it was. The first time.
I
You didn't find it
disagree.
funny
I
the
thought like
37th
17
time?
times, it was still funny then.
Well, it wasn't you getting raped by a cactus, now was it?
I mean, technically, it wasn't you either. We put your head on fucking Brie Larson's
Brie
body
Larson.
and turned it sideways.
Oh,
It is a
there's the
representation
offense.
of me.
He gave you a chick with no booty. He could have gave you Nicki Minaj. He could have gave you some back in the trunk. You know what I'm saying? But no. He went with flat ass Brie Larson.
Yeah, and that is a fucking just a grand style waist of just some premium snow. I ain't gonna lie. I think if she wasn't just such a thunder cunt, she actually would be quite pretty. And she had like a nice.
I'm not.
She had a
convinced
pretty nice
she's
rack.
actually that bad. I think that a lot of that shit she was told to do by her handlers in Hollywood.
You think so?
Honestly, I
Go
don't-
She was
back.
good. She was
I-
good
well,
in another movie. I
she's-
forgot the name of it.
she's completely
back
backed
and
off
watch
since
her
then.
first
She
four
hasn't said
films.
shit in years.
Go watch her first 4 films. Her first 4 films are all respectable as hell as far as an actress performance. They're all decent jobs. And then suddenly she signs with Disney, and the next thing you know, she's like the Terminator. She just doesn't smile. She doesn't emote. It's like somebody come in and gave her a freaking Valium drip.
Oof.
I think it
Everyone
was
got
it
any
Disney that
vodka?
did the Wrinkle in Time movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
that's about the point where she started getting fucking weird. But and then it was after Avengers Endgame where she just kind of like
Flaked out.
stopped antagonizing people.
Yeah, she
Look at the money
definitely,
stuff
she
coming in.
definitely
And
bent
she
over.
realized she actually had to
Though. I ain't
rely
gonna
on
lie.
her career and not just free money.
Same
Yeah.
thing for
Well,
that.
she
The Ray actress. She's great in everything
She
except
went
Disney.
after people though. She just kind of always existed.
She's a decent actress, but the thing about Daisy Ridley is Daisy Ridley. I've never seen Daisy Ridley ever attack anybody ever.
No, she just stood there and did the job and then left. And I don't think she expected such a kerfuffle.
If I remember right,
Yeah.
the only person in that entire freaking cast who attacked someone was Boyega, and he went after
Yeah.
Disney rightfully for using him for virtue signal points, basically on marketing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which
because he
has
wasn't on the
credibility
Especially
China,
in
when you look at
China
the
art.
Chinese version of the poster.
He wasn't on the
Yeah.
China art at all.
That was crazy as fuck too. Like damn.
You know, it was funny too. They did the same thing with the Black Panther poster. Almost everybody, there's like 2 white guys in all of Black Panther, right? They blew their faces up on the Chinese poster, and they made sure that all of the white dudes had their or the black dudes had their masks on. in the
Mask
poster,
on.
so you
Yeah, I
couldn't
saw
see
that.
that they
I
were
was
black.
like,
It is
damn.
similar, I think, for the Endgame as well. Though I can't quite remember it, but I'm pretty sure they had like T'Challa more up on the American version, and then he's like hidden. Which I mean, he is a minor character, so it's not like as bad as getting rid of Finn, but it's still pretty bad in the same way that like you put pride flags all over that Spider-Man game, but then the Middle East version doesn't have it. Like either commit to your fucking values,
Dude,
or admit that you're just trying to make money.
Correct.
Please,
no, you're right.
Stop
The
being
thing
I
about
am
Finn
trying
was,
to make money, but I don't want to sell out cheap. I want to wait until after I get past that whole YouTube hump and then cash in.
so the thing about Finn is they didn't just hide his ass on the poster. They actually rewrote and basically cucked his entire character on China's say-so, because China did not want to have this. Like part of that was Kathleen Kennedy saying, "Oh, we need to have Ray be the forefront of everything." Blah 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 blah. But part of that was China saying, "You can't make a black man the hero of your fucking story, or we won't watch your fucking movie."
He has to be comic
That's why his
relief.
character
It's
changes.
so-
His whole arc is
Basically
completely
now.
different after Force Awakens. In everything else, he gets reduced. He gets pushed to the background when he was clearly the one who was supposed to be Force sensitive at the end of the first part of the Disney trilogy. They completely wrote him out, essentially, of what he was supposed to be on China's say-so.
That's
sorry to interrupt,
Fuck
but
China.
a bird of the feather does need to hop out.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on again, Sam. I appreciate you, bro. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah. Anytime, brother.
I'll see you later on, Clue, for the stream. I gotta get ready. Be safe,
right.
y'all. Have enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be up.
Much love, brother.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for coming, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well,
Can we
for
talk
those
trash
who,
about it now?
well, I was going to say first, I'm going to plug his shit, then we can talk trash about it. But his
Okay. Go
description
ahead.
or his link is in the description below here and on Rumble. So go ahead and check out Truism with Stormcrow. He runs a lot of live streams per week, actually. So go check him out. He does some
Thursdays,
interesting stuff.
Fridays, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
We've gone
Yeah,
from
yeah.
60%
So he'll be going live
diverse
here
to
in a little
50%
bit.
diverse.
I mean,
You're Native American
Wait.
and Clue's black.
So let me explain something to you, kid. I have Native American blood. I also have a fuckload of German blood. Yeah,
You have enough to get land,
So what you're saying
probably.
then you're
is
Native American.
You're willing to goose step your way to the reservation?
Yep.
No, not my reservation. Fuck those people.
See, he wants the good
That's
land
the
over
German
in
side
Ukraine. He
talking.
wants some Lebensraum. He doesn't want reservation. He wants Lebensraum.
No, look.
Nine.
Mostly, I just want to be left alone. I am. All right, so I got to put this out. I am a registered member of the Oglala Lakota Sioux on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. I have been since I was born. I didn't register myself. That was my grandmother who did. Her name was Cactus. It was a whole thing. Anyway, I don't have anything to do with those people because Pine Ridge is a fucking shithole filled with fucking people that I'd rather have nothing to do with. Yeah, there's some cultural stuff there that's pretty cool. But you're also talking about a reservation that for a while sat on their drunken asses while a pack of wild dogs was tearing their kids up.
That's true.
I don't want anything to do with those assholes.
So I got a question for you on that point. This is kind of digressing, but it goes towards the concepts of like control, propaganda, and like control, essentially. We have a history of the American West, and we have two blatantly opposing stories. We have the stories we tell our children of the lonely cowboy slowly bringing the West to bear to the modern needs of the people. They're trailblazers and amazing historic figures, you know. And then the reality of that in post-Civil War America was a literal genocide marching campaign to the coast. Manifest Destiny didn't include the natives.
That's true.
How do you rectify these two histories, and which one is more chronologically accurate for a stronger America? Do we care about the atrocities of our forefathers if we live rightly and properly from this moment forward? Right? That was 200 years ago,
Well,
300 years ago.
I think that goes back to like even the topic of reparations. The fact is there is no one alive today in America who did the fucking things that people are demanding reparations for. There is no one alive today who suffered the things that people are demanding reparations for. In terms specifically, I'm talking about like, you know, blacks in America and the slave trade and all of that shit.
Right.
Like,
but
you know, like you might have had an ancestor, you know, like 3 generations back, 2 generations back who had been a slave, right? But things were already changing at that point, and I guarantee it wasn't nearly as bad as it was at the beginning of the thing. Secondly, like I might have had an ancestor 2, 3 generations back who owned a slave. I didn't, by the way, but if I could have easily. Thing is I'm not responsible for what they did. You're not responsible for what happened to your ancestors or what they committed. No one is. No one should be held responsible for that. This whole sins of the father thing is some bullshit that came out of religion, right? It's not something that you should be hold like the fact that we are past that now. The fact that nobody in America today is publicly a slave. I say publicly because there is a thriving slave trade that is sexual. Yeah.
And slavery was legal. That's the point I keep bringing up. It was a legal institution.
Right. But this is exactly the point. You can't quantify the value of a person, and the government shouldn't be involved in vengeance value.
Yep. Also, if we want to play this bullshit game of reparations, Morocco, Mali, like basically just list off all of Western Africa owes the French, the British, and the Americans a fuck ton of blood money. A fuck ton of blood money because they housed all those damn slave and corsairs that would come up and start enslaving.
No, you're talking about the Barbary Coast. That was actually up in Mediterranean. That wasn't West Africa.
No, that was Morocco. But you also did have some, not to the same extent as the Barbary Coast, but you did have some like pirates based down there, or you would have people that were down there purchase slaves from there. So if we're doing, and I'm being a facetious jackass, obviously, but if we're playing the bullshit of me, someone who I don't know my ancestors very well, but I do know that most of them were Irish and German towards the end of the 18th, beginning of the 19th century. So there was no fucking way in hell they had slaves. I should not be told I need to pay reparations.
Sam,
Funny side
I
story,
thought
and we'll get right back to this. Funny.
Who let in the Irish?
The Anglo-American.
That's what I'm getting
sadly.
at. So, funny side story, and we'll get back to your point, kid. I used to date this woman who was a white supremacist. She was a racist. She was a big fan of the Nazis and Hitler and all that stuff, which I didn't find out till after we started dating, but she was pretty good in bed, so we kind of kept doing it.
So how long did you date her?
so-
No, this is important. I need to know
About
because
9
there's a
months.
story about this. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
About-
That was
about
about
9,
you.
10
You're
months.
good.
She didn't show tendencies in 9 months.
Think about it, dude. Think about
no,
it. Think
she
about
did,
how
she did,
far
but she was
you
still like good in bed, so I didn't throw her out. Anyway, point
Right.
is,
See, okay, how
is
long
that
did
she
you
was
know her
always going.
political leaning?
Let me finish the story. Hold up. So
tell us the
she was
chronology
always
of
going
this.
on. I'm just gonna mute that fucker. So she's always going on and on about how she admires Hitler, how Hitler did a lot of great things for his country. The trains ran on time and all that, and of course they did, right? To Buchenwald. But she was always talking about how much she admired that, and I looked at her. And I had to tell her, I was like, that Hitler would never have allowed you into his little club in the first place, right? You're entirely too fucking Irish for that. Nothing.
See, I feel like he would have
I get-
especially liked the Irish.
get.
No. See, the Irish are not considered white by a lot of people.
They're not Aryan. They're white.
Neither
They're
are
not
the
Aryan.
Slavs, but if you want to actually have a slave population to work your fields, you kind of need to take the best you can get.
I am telling you right now that that's not what it's about. It's about the Irish specifically. It's about what is distilled and left of the Celtic nations that got boiled down and crammed on that little fucking island, and all the potato shit that happened later. Nobody considered the Irish. Why do you think they were treated so fucking poorly over here? Right?
Because they're-
You plot-
Hitler actually made a tier list of like racial fucking superiority, and he put Jews just below blacks, who were just below fucking apes, who were just below the Irish.
Well, apparently, the average Irishman is worth less than your average arrow, according to Richard Longshanks. So that does make a little bit of sense.
Yeah, no, dude.
I mean-
like the Irish. Do you remember Blazing Saddles? Think about this. Think about this. real quick.
I've seen clips of it, and I need to sit down and watch it, but it's pretty damn funny. That was my dad's reaction.
There
was
is
my
a
dad's
scene. There is a scene at the end of the movie when everything's been resolved and all the blacks are getting land and houses and homesteads and
Hey, Gary.
businesses, but not
Gary.
the Irish. But not
Yeah.
the Irish. They accept the people working on the railroad, the Chinese, the Asians, the Polynesians, these guys, those guys, even the Mexicans got them a piece, but not the Irish. And they
Yeah,
they
the
are
let me
Irish are the Native
put it even
Americans of the
simpler than
white
that.
world.
Even simpler than that. So the Blue Fairy or Jiminy Cricket comes along right out of Pinocchio, right? And lines up one person from each ethnicity all across the world, right? And says to them all, if you wish upon a star, it doesn't matter who you are. And then points at the Irish guy and says, except for you.
That they
That-
cut that
that's-
scene out.
That's
'cause
what
I
I'm
don't
talking
remember
about.
No, I'm just saying, man. You don't get it. You don't get it. The Irish, listen. This is absolutely absurd. Back in like 1860, 1820, the Irish decided they were going to try to stake their claim on a section of the New World. And they set their sights on this place in South America that they had seen on maps. And a clergyman put together enough money, men, ships, material to make a full-on colony attempt, right? They ended up somewhere in the general vicinity of Villahermosa and were completely subjugated by the locals. But
Damn.
the people, the Irish who went over there had certain surnames, and now there's a whole drove of O'Malleys, McCoys, McCrackens, McDailys, O'Dailys, O'Bannons,
O'Reilly.
O'Reillys, and they're all just as Hispanic as their neighbor Sanchez. Completely subverted by just an overabundance of other population in the area. I mean, think about it. You show up with 73 sons and there's 2,000 dark-skinned daughters over there. Ain't never seen a white man.
Well, most of my Warhammer buddies on Twitter, come here, brown lady, it's time to race mix.
I want a rainbow-colored soccer team of girls.
And with that, I will decide to leave because I'm starving, and that is the perfect opportunity. That is the perfect quote to end my inclusion on the stream on.
Oh, fair enough. We'll probably be closing out here shortly anyway. But
Organ dealing wasn't enough.
Well, no, because
Right.
that's an actual political theory.
Do you have anything you want to plug, kid? I know you've been super busy. You haven't been doing a lot of online shit, but if you do have anything coming up, definitely plug your channel.
Yeah, so actually, really the only thing that I can say I've got coming up on is my Wednesday D&D streams over on my channel, Shadowhawk55. We are just running through some of the D&D 5e modules that take place on the Sword Coast. The players have finally arrived at Civilization and immediately just started killing people. Slightly justified, but still. And then when I actually get the chance to sit down and write something that is not a bunch of other stuff that's not writing people want to read, my coffee page will be getting some updates. You can also go check out the stuff that is there currently, trying to take advantage of the Iron Age, kind of slowing down because don't have a lot of time for myself. And that's about it. Thank you for having me on, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming, kid. Always appreciate having you.
Yep. Have a
Now
good
get
one,
the
everyone.
fuck out.
Now that he's gone, I just want to say I really like that kid. I do. He's good people's. He's a good egg.
No.
Smart guy.
Yeah, so do
smart
I.
guy.
There's reasons we keep him around, and yes, we give him hell, and yes, we push back on him probably a little harder than we do on some other people, but some of that I think is because I'm trying to encourage him to blossom, as it were, into his fullness, and some of that is just because I think it's fucking funny, and I'm a dick.
Right. I'm a dick, and what does not kill him would make him stronger, and he can't get to me, so he's just gonna have to hear it and emotionally grow through the trauma induced by our presence. I think this is a good thing, and I think it'll do well for him.
I did have one thing I wanted to throw up as a topic before we closed out. We kind of got off on a tangent that was pretty good, actually. I've enjoyed this show very much. But the thing I was going to bring up was, and this was something that I had started to bring up at the top of the show before Squatch jumped in. Apparently, this came out, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, June 25th. Or a week or so ago, but apparently conservative U.S. lawmakers are pushing for an end to no-fault divorce. You guys have any thoughts?
Wow, that's big.
Republicans in Louisiana, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and Texas specifically.
Why? Why would you push for no? Why? I'm confused. Through no fault divorce, you have the capability of the individuals involved in the divorce to actually arbitrate their own dealings and just leave.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
But
So,
doesn't it have
it's
to be
not-
brought by both people for it to be a no fault
yeah, so
divorce?
the way
Both people have to be
no
like,
fault divorce
I won't
works
be
is
around
that,
it.
yeah, is that you can no fault is assigned to the court to a specific party for the divorce, which I do see that there are benefits to that. I don't think that they're enough to justify its continued fucking existence, but there are benefits to that, as opposed, so like you don't have to go through the lengthy process in court of ripping the other parent apart if there are children, for example. Right, that is a benefit of the no fault divorce. The other the problem with no fault divorce that I'm seeing is that in a lot of cases, it also allows, while it allows people who are in abusive shit to fucking end the abusive shit. Right, I on board with that part. It also allows women who just changed their fucking mind, or men who just changed their fucking mind. It's like, oh, I don't want to be married anymore, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm bored. I want to live my
destroy
full
fucking
life.
families.
But
Yeah, you know.
But correct me if I'm wrong, and I think I might be wrong. Doesn't both parties have to bring it up as a no fault divorce for it to be
Depends on the state. It depends on the state. So my divorce happened in. This is anecdotal, but my divorce happened in South Dakota. In South Dakota, you don't even have to tell your spouse that you're divorcing them. You don't have to notify
Wow.
them at all.
So you can
just
come
go
home
down
from
to the
work and be
courthouse have it
divorced?
done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here,
Not my state doing bullshit. No.
here the way it works is if all right, so there's the divorce process, and then there's the no fault divorce process, and through no fault, it's basically so the court picks somebody locally, some person the court trusts and that is agreeable to all parties supposedly, but really it's just Dave down at the fucking malt shop. And he sits down and looks at everything you got, does more or less a monetary splitting down the middle where everybody kind of agrees. And then anything in particular, like babies or squirrels or aardvarks that you happen to have that can't be chopped in half and given, he arbitrates who gets what. So, like, the hard part about this is if a woman can keep her grits in the same bowl long enough to fool a judge, what's it, one day, maybe two at a time, she can completely fleece the system. But the same is true for a man. It's just less easy for a man because typically in these situations the benefits are put on the woman because she's the mother, right? So she gets the kids, she gets child support, she gets all of that stuff. But in a no fault proceeding, I thought alimony and child support, unless a part of the no fault proceeding, was not on the table anymore.
That depends on where you are and what specifically is going on. So, like my ex came after me for child support, which, by the way, I was supporting my kids outside of that. I don't know why they did that, but I know why they came after her for it. She was applying for a series of government assistance programs like LEAP and that sort of thing. And in order to do that, if you were divorced, if you were in government subsidized housing, which she is, if you have children present that you're the quote unquote primary giver for, even if, the other party has 50% custody, right, which I do, she is required by law to go after the father for child support in order to receive those benefits. She can't just have them. Right. So like there's a lot of shit that goes on into that. And as far as the alimony thing goes, again, depends on the state. In the state that I lived in, we weren't together long enough. But in some states, alimony is automatically awarded to whoever the fucking plaintiff is. It's a messy thing across the fucking board. And the other problem I'm seeing here, Aaron Laura said something here. If real abuse is involved, they wouldn't call that no fault though. So that when they say no fault or fault divorce, they're talking about legal definitions specifically. Obviously, if somebody initiates a divorce, it's kind of on them. If somebody initiates a divorce to get away from someone who's beating the shit out of them nightly, it's on the abuser, right? There is always fault, there's always blame, but legally speaking, there isn't, punitive measures taken because of
essentially
the
you're not.
So that's what no fault means that way.
That's all it says is you're not divorcing him for shame because he's a multiple murderer or drug dealer or going to prison or
it's just saying that I want a divorce and that's that. And so when you talk about fault divorce, that actually places a kind of legal stigma on things. And in some cases, actually, I think fault divorce should be necessary. If a dude is raping his kids, if he's beating the fuck out of his wife, if he's out fucking doing, God knows what to God knows who, and they are paying a price for that just for being around the guy, he should absolutely be fucking, slapped with a fault divorce. He should be slapped with fucking penalties. He should be punished for doing those things. If she's doing the same thing, right, she should be punished for those. I think that the fault divorce should be a requirement in those cases. However, I can also see where, if both parties just can't fucking live together anymore, right, no fault divorce is probably the way to go. I don't think that this is an either or thing. I think the whole thing needs to be fucking redone. I don't know. I'm kind of rambling at this point.
The concept of divorce is a lot of this is largely supposed to be, like you said, a contractual obligation. And I don't see why an individual can't necessarily fulfill as much as possible in like child rearing obligations. I threaded the needle with my baby mama, right?
Mm-hmm.
I became aware that it was likely that my wife couldn't conceive. We had had some problems at this time, and we split up for about 3 months. And when we got back together, I had a kid, right? So it wasn't like she went in blind. She was sitting right next to me when I found out. And we decided right there that we're, if this woman keeps the kid, doesn't put it up for adoption because we have no say in any of that, then we would be parents to the kid. But this woman had 2 other kids that are completely unrelated to me. Bad fathers both. And so as a byproduct of having this kid with this woman, we've raised 3 children for the past 22 years. Both, so far, 2 of them have graduated from high school, and one has a job at the Waffle House, and the other one just popped out a puppy named Ava, which is by proxy my grandbaby, though not genetically. Right?
Yeah, I get that.
But I managed to go through that entire process without being hit with like government child support charges and stuff, because every single time there was a problem involving any of those 3 kids, me or my wife was there in the mix with everyone else who had a say. Because these kids went on vacation with us, they stayed with us during the summers. When she got her divorce in like 2009, her third divorce, whatever it was, and she overnight needed a place to stay, she brought all her kids and come stayed with us for a couple of weeks until she got her crap together, right? And it's been that way their whole lives. So why bring in the government to try to make me do something I'm already doing very well for children aren't mine, when you could maybe get a little bit of money out of me, but you're going to have to deal with a very expensive lawyer.
Yeah. I kind of get that too. I'm a stepfather myself. My oldest is not my biological child. I raised her, and in that sense, she's every bit my child. And actually, if you were to talk to her and be around her and all that stuff, and you knew me personally, you'd be amazed that she wasn't my biological child, but it just, so like I don't, as far as I'm concerned, she's my kid. She's always going to be my kid, and I'm always going to be there for her, kind of thing. Because I was there for her entire fucking life. Her biological father wasn't, right? She hasn't seen the guy since he was 2 years old, or she was 2 years old. So she doesn't know
The
him.
way I look at
She
it,
knows me.
these kids did not choose to be born to a rundown, low rent scum bucket scrub. That happened.
He's actually a registered sex offender in her case.
Okay. But what I'm getting at is it wasn't these children that made that decision. That was their mother.
Sure.
And so I made a deal with her back before she ever gave birth to my daughter. I told her, I was like, look, I have no idea what the future is going to hold, but we've got a kid together and we could make each other's life a living hell. I do not want to do that. I would rather try to do the most we can do to make their lives as good as possible and work through any particular problems that come up. And she sat there for a few minutes. She cussed my name for a couple of hours, and then eventually she agreed. And her mom got mad, like super mad. You realize how much you could get from him? Because she was straight up old school hoe. Her mama was, right? So she was like all about them Benjamins. And I was like, look, you're talking to somebody who has driven across 4 states to come get her because she's the mother of my child. I had my child. I could have left her ass over there. But because I looked down at my daughter and she said, will you go get my mommy? And I went, absolutely. Right now, in fact. And I did, I do the things that the leaders in life are supposed to do. I'm just stuck doing it because I'm the only one that does it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I to get the back a little bit to the whole no fault divorce thing. There was something that came up. Was it in chat here that Oh yeah. Aaron Laura, again, bringing up a good point. You shouldn't get your exes anything if you leave because, quote unquote, I'm bored. I fucking 100% agree.
I agree.
The biggest abuse of the no-fault divorce system is women who've just decided, I want to be over there now. It happens with men too, but it's statistically, it's mostly women. And in my case, my specific divorces case, the thing that I was told by my ex-wife was, I don't know who I am anymore. I need to go find myself. Now we're
What the
talking about
fuck?
a grown woman
Yeah, you
who has
say that in
already
your
nearly
freshman
raised
year in
one child
college.
and it has another with me. And she's decided she's got to go fucking find herself. Right now, if no fault divorce was not a thing, that excuse would not have flown in court. She would not have been able to get divorced. She would have had to actually fucking work
Hold on.
out the marriage with me.
I hear what you're saying. I have two examples, anecdotal, they may be. I have a buddy of mine I went to school with, one of the biggest rednecks you'd come across. I'm talking like literal spittoon, spitting, dip having, chaw chewing.
So Arkansas.
Georgia, if you will.
Okay.
And at 35 years old, he looks at his wife, his children, his father, his mother, all his brothers. He has an intervention meeting for himself. And he tells everyone, look, this has all been lovely, but the American dream is not for me. I'm actually a gay man, and I'm tired of doing this. And he screwed off to Florida. Like, he just left. He had 4 kids, and he just...
See, that ain't right either.
I hear what you're saying. He left them everything. He took nothing but a suitcase and a couple of pink high heels. She showed up right after all of this happened. She came by the house like literally hours after he left and was like, Will just left. And I was like, why'd Will leave? He's like, he said he's gay. And I was like, we all know this. She's like, I know. He said he couldn't do this anymore. So that kind of makes sense, man. He's been fabulous his whole life, and Georgia's really not a good fit. She's like, well, I would have gone to Florida. I love Florida. I'm like, I don't know, man. Y'all are going to have to work this out. But when he comes back, he is a much happier individual in general about himself, right? So this individual wrecked a marriage because of some arbitrary reason that none of us could understand at the time. The other one, after 3 kids, decided she was a man. And for 5 years, one of my best friends lived with this man as husband and wife. And it finally one day just kind of snapped. He went, this is actually kind of beautiful. He went to work, and instead of going home, he came over here and spent the night. And then he went to a cousin's house and stayed there. And then he got himself an apartment and a new wife. It took about a week and a half. He went at it like it was an itinerary, dude. Like, all right, check, left the old man, check, got new house, check, new wife. Right. Let's get the kids over here and we'll see how we're doing. I was like, dude, you did that well.
Yeah. I don't know. I just
Find yourself. That's what I'm saying. The whole find yourself thing. I don't know what that means in common parlance, but this is what I picture in my head as someone like Will. A man I respect. I know he does.
It's the luxury of the young. You know.
Yeah, it is.
It's a luxury of the young. Look, we're guaranteed the right to pursue happiness. We're not guaranteed fucking happiness, right? Sometimes you just got to take the lot that's rolled your way, and you gotta make it work the best you can. You know, you have a family. Like if I suddenly turned, gay or whatever, right? Didn't happen, but if I had, right, I wouldn't have left my fucking family. I'd have found a way to make it work because I had obligations that I had voluntarily committed myself to. Right? You don't just get to walk the fuck away, in my opinion.
When Will came back that first time, I was in the bar downtown over here, and I was about 6 shots in and looking out of one eye, right? And he comes walking in his fabulous getup that he's wearing, and comes over and goes, "Hey, Sasquatch, how you doing?" I said, Will, Georgia has hotel rooms too. And he laughed so hard he cried because I was hammered and I tried to get a complicated idea across, but that's what come out of my mouth. You didn't have to go do all that stuff. You could have just got a hotel room and scrumped with Jeff. It'd have been fine. Everybody scrumped Jeff.
Yeah.
That's too much.
So.
I can never tell.
All right. Well, I think folks we're probably gonna close it down about here. It's been a good show, good conversation, a lot of different topics. Probably said some shit that's gonna get me canceled later. I'm okay with that. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. I hope y'all have enjoyed it too. Why don't we go around the horn and let people know where they can find you? Clue, why don't you go up first? I haven't seen you online much lately, man. I assume you've been busy in life and all that. Why don't you tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, I have been busy with this job and everything, trying to get a place to stream so I can cam up. Y'all can see my okay looking self.
We may have a new specimen here.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
You made me forget what I was going to say.
See, he gets that look on his face, and I just keep thinking of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. He's gonna make a dress out of you, Clue. Run.
Yeah, we're gonna cut that part of the show out. Yeah, here on YouTube and X, which Sam doesn't want to call it X, so Twitter for some people, or Twix, at Clue Channel, and yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Content will be coming probably somewhere in August.
All right. Good deal. Good deal. Caucasian Sasquatch. Tell the good people where
It's
to
gonna
find
take a
you.
minute, bro. Might take a minute. All right. So tomorrow night, the Blast Radius on Captain Curmudgeon's channel, also on my channel. Tuesday night, the Naughty Corner with Ajot. Where we either go over something creepy, some creepy video of some type of weird interrogation where either the detectives did something genius or the prisoner did something genius. Also, Thursday, I'm supposed to be hosting a Sasquatch Shills with Jay Riley. I can't remember the channel name exactly. Jay Riley, Rilly, I think.
I think you mean Jay Rillo.
Jay Rillo. That's right.
Yeah.
Jay Rillo. My bad. I'm sorry. I just met the guy through Midlife Bro Logic, and Midlife told me, he was like, yeah, go check him out. He's Red Pill channel. And I happen to be doing a show about Red Pill stuff. It's up on my channel. And he came in and did an excellent drunk dissertation on it. I thought it was pretty good. That's Thursday. All of these are at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I occasionally do a show on Saturday, unless I'm joining Sam for his shenanigans over here with the Void of the Infamous and Musings of Abyssal or something like that.
That's good marketing for the show. Hey.
Right. Which one am I on currently? Is this Screaming of the Void? Yeah, we're Void Screaming tonight, folks.
Void, yeah.
Did you see my thumbnail?
No, I didn't. I did not. I didn't.
Let me explain my thumbnail.
It's not showing that you're streaming it.
Oh damn, no, I did it for the wrong one. I did it for the one last night. That was for Abyssal Musings. I go find memes of kittens screaming into the void, and then I use the top half or the bottom half so that there's print on it, because you know how much the AI likes print, and nice pretty kittens.
Yeah, I mean, it works. We do. It's better than Jizz Man in Space, right?
Jizz Man in Space. If you're gonna do it right, bro.
I gotta see that meme.
Jizz Man will return. Dude, check out it's right on the thumbnail for the 100th episode. I slapped his ass right up on there. It's just a dude in space made of jizz.
So that means it's still out there.
Oh yeah, no, it's still up. It's still up on YouTube. It's still up.
No, I mean
on,
the jizz
on
is still
Rumble.
in
I don't
space
think-
somewhere.
Yes, Jazzman himself is still in space. You see, here's
The actual
origin
jizz
story
is
of
floating
Jazzman.
out somewhere.
Yeah, with a space suit and a ray gun. And later we're going to do a Jazzman in space from the future.
Yeah, I gotta figure out a way to design his sidekick Swallow.
Swallow.
You make him an actual swallow.
I don't know, man. I was thinking maybe go
maybe
the
he'll
Harley.
have two sidekicks, Spit and Swallow.
No. Do the Harley Quinn route, but Swallow is obviously a gay guy who's dressed up as Harley Quinn, basically. But he's a bad, like, methed out Harley Quinn named Swallow. He has crackhead powers.
Right?
Like in the comic, this man should like go up an elevator and get to the third floor, and like crackhead Swallow's just standing there. He wasn't in the elevator. He didn't enter the building. He's just with him.
Yeah. It's too much fun sometimes. This is a good show. I've enjoyed the shit out of this. Sasquatch, did you have anything else that you wanted to plug before? No, we're good. Okay,
that's it.
So for my part, I am Samuel the Infamous. If you're watching this, you probably know that already, and you know where to find me. Tonight, there may be a show over on Linus Exiled 2, which, if there is, I will definitely be there for that. So, keep a lookout for that. Monday, I'll be on Adam the Renaissance Nerd's channel for Mellow Mondays. I think Wrong Think over on Beelzehub is still up in the air, but if that goes forward and it's late enough and works out, I will be on that on Tuesday, and then back here for Abyssal Musings next Friday, which rolls into Beelzepub on Beelzehub at 1:00 in the fucking morning, my time, Saturday mornings, and then right back here for Screaming Into the Void. There may be other appearances here and there. Just kind of depends on what goes forward. Made some new contacts and all that stuff, so you might be seeing me pop up in other corners of the internet as well. I do want to say thank you to everybody who made it today on the panel. Thank you, Clue. Thank you, Sasquatch. Shout out to Shadow and Stormcrow. You guys are all awesome. This has been a fantastic episode. I wasn't sure how this was going to go. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I can talk for 2.5 hours. I don't know anybody who wants to just listen to me, but no, it worked out, and I've enjoyed the fuck out of it. So thank you all for coming. Yeah, we're gonna get the fuck out of here. It's been great. Everybody out there in the chat, thank you guys. You're all wonderful. We'll see you all next time. Have a good night. And remember, it could always be worse. It could be raining flaming cobras. Bye, everybody.